Yo, 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 yo. What is up? What is up? What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today on this weekend? Yes. We are doing a YouTube live stream weekend show this time around. Haven't done a weekend show in a while. I usually don't do them. I usually do Monday through Friday, but since we weren't able to get to these streams during the week like I wanted to, we got a weekend stream coming in for you this evening. Afternoon, whatever. But yes, sir, man. Thank y'all for tuning in today. We got a good show lined up for you. And this is actually going to be probably a pretty lengthy show since, you know, I got time today for sure. So we're going to get into quite a few things. We're going to get into our normal topics. Of course, which is going to be fitness, the economy, and AI. But just know for right now, we are simultaneously streaming on multiple platforms. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. If you're on any one of these, just go ahead and hit the link tree on one of my description boxes. You can find all the links to all the other ones, and you'll be able to, you know, jump around. If you're on Twitch and you catch a commercial, jump over on YouTube or jump over on Kick or whichever one you want to jump on, or Rumble or whatever you want to jump on, just to keep you in a loop and keep you going so you don't get, you know, caught up or miss anything like that. And yes, if you want to contribute to today's show, right there's a Cash App and the Venmo. Cash App is Daniel2888. Venmo is Daniel-Daniel-00. Yes, sir. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and get these topics going for you. The first topic we're going to have today is in the fitness segment of the show. So in the fitness segment of the show, we have found out, or at least what I've came across, is that The Rock, you know, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, the WWF, or WWE, I should say, The Rock, they have said that he has coronary heart disease. Yeah, so we're going to look at a video by Coach Greg Doucette, who kind of reacted and went over it, talked about what he felt like was going on with The Rock. So we're going to see how that's going. So hopefully it's not too bad, man. Hopefully everything is okay with The Rock and all that good stuff. But Coach Greg has got some, you know, he got some pointers to point out when he talking about The Rock, because he don't think, well, I'll say he doesn't think, but he thinks that, you know, he think The Rock been on the juice for quite some time. So he's going to give his 2 cents as to what he thinks could really help. And it's probably not the answer that The Rock may want to admit to, but we going to see here in a minute. And then next, we're going to go into the economy portion of the show. Now, the economy and the AI portion of the show today, they're going to kind of tie in together. I don't know which one will be which, but, you know, just kind of roll with the punches today, because this is going to be interesting. The way I kind of came across these things, we're going to go into the AI portion of the show. We're going to talk about, what is it called? Palantir. We're going to talk about Palantir, and we're going to see somebody who used to work for him. He's going to give you his 2 cents of what he thinks. So we're going to dive deep into Palantir and see exactly what is going on, and see if it's good, if it's bad, if it's work. We're going to find out what Palantir is and what it's all about. It's going to be very, very interesting to dive deep and to see how that situation goes. And then from Palantir, we're going to dive on over into a situation where we're going to speak on a gentleman by the name of Peter Thiel. All right, we're going to go in and we're going to talk about Peter Thiel and see exactly who Peter Thiel is and what he's all about and what's going on and why he's such a big deal right about now. At least from my research, he seemed pretty important. You go find out. You gonna see about this guy. He's funny. All right, and then when we get to the AI portion of the show, right? Which I mean, like I said, this might tie together. They might just be one big long segment. You can be the decision maker at the end of the day. But then we're going to see about the Antichrist system, if it is here already and if it's here to stay. And then at the very end, after learning about if the Antichrist system is here, we're going to go into a hypothetical situation on what could possibly happen if AI took over in 2 years, how it could happen if AI took over in 2 years, and what things would be and how life would be in only 2 years flat. That's 720 days, okay? So be ready for that. Oh, okay. Throwing up balloons, they partying because they know the AI gonna take over here real soon. But anyway, with that being said, if you're on YouTube, do me a favor, since YouTube's over doing that, hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it to help get this algorithm out and all that good stuff. So we're gonna see exactly what is going on, because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot that we're going to tie together, because whenever we deal with Peter Thiel, we kind of stay on that subject, and he glides us into the AI segment, and then we're going to see at the very end how AI can change things in the next 2 years. So you go ahead and want to buckle up. I got time today, so this show is going to be long. It's going to be a long show we're going to do today, and I'm going to sit down, take my time. Matter of fact, I made sure that I had a little extra energy in my system, so your boy went ahead and made us some coffee. And this, what is it? 3 o'clock in the afternoon drinking coffee? Jesus. But yeah, with that being said, let me make sure everything is running good and make sure everything is running the way it's supposed to. I don't want my stuff to be messing up as we're over here doing all this. All right, cool. It looks like we're doing okay. Are we doing okay? I think so. I think everything is running somewhat snazzy. So yeah. So with that being said, let's not waste no more time. We're going to go ahead and dive into the first segment of the show. I actually have something I got to go run and go do real quick. I should have did that first, but whatever. You live and you learn. We're going to go ahead and dive into the first segment of the show. So with that being said, let's go ahead and play our video intro for the first segment of the show. Here we go.
Let's get ready for the fitness segment of the show.
All right, we had a muscle-bound Mami Latina redhead. Okay. Yeah. Ole. All right, so with that being said, let's not waste no more time. We're going to go right into the fitness segment. Let me go ahead and pull this banner up on the screen. Bam, we got the banner. We're looking good in the neighborhood. Then we're going to pull up, wait, you know what? Before we pull up anything, because you know they like to hit us with ads, right? We're going to run this to make sure that no ad interferes. And like I thought, as soon as I hit the refresh button, bam, they got us with an ad. But as fast as I'm talking, as fast as I can hit that skip button. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and back this up. And, they hit us with another ad to go to the, oh my goodness, got to get that YouTube Premium, y'all. We got to get that YouTube Premium. All right. Well, let's get cracking. So here we go. We got this ready. We're up on the screen. Going into the fitness segment of the show. We're going to see what's going on with The Rock. Man said he has coronary artery disease. I said heart disease. Coronary artery disease. So correct me on that. Coronary artery disease is what The Rock has announced that he has. Greg Doucette is whose show we're going to look at, or whose channel that we're going to look at to review it. Fair use. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. I may disappear for a second, but that'll be a-okay because I got to run and do something real fast, but we're still going to be on top of it. So here we go. We got it right there. Got to change that banner too. That banner is right there. Bam, bam. There we go. Good old Dwayne Johnson on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start this show. Get ready. Here we go.
What they thought was plaque in the circumflex valve.
In the artery, yeah.
It's not looking good. He needs to come off steroids. Somebody comes into the hospital with shortness of breath. Oh, I'm experiencing pain down my left arm. Shortness of breath. Okay, let's start by doing a rectal exam. Bend over. Damn! Is that really what you want to do when the bro is complaining of what symptoms of a heart attack? And so why are we doing every other test other than actually treating what he has? Coach Greg, in today's video, The Rock has coronary artery disease. Now, The Rock has come out in a video and he goes over this. He explains this, but he refuses to accept it. How many years have I been saying The Rock needs to come off steroids? And is it possible The Rock's 100% natural? And I have made a shirt to say the exact odds of this. Unfortunately, he seems to be following in his footsteps. And so he made a video with Dr. Mark Hyman. And so is he in fact still a virgin? Has he ever in fact had sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky? Perhaps he has, I don't know. What I do know is he's a yes man. Perhaps I would like to call him a simp. A simp for
Jesus. Okay, so sorry, I had to disappear real quick, but we're back. As you can see, Greg is going straight to the steroid situation. So he's like, look, bruh's on steroids. And Greg is like, look, I'm trying to help this dude because he don't want to admit it. So maybe if I'll admit it for him and make him, drop his Kangos and actually just admit, like, bruh, you on the juice, fam. You on the juice. Where's my sound at? excuse me, it's like, hey, Rock, you're on the juice is what Greg's trying to tell him. But for some reason, I think Rock in the back of his mind is thinking to himself, where's my thing at? Where does the Rock speak at? Exactly. Rock is sitting here looking at him, and Greg's trying to tell him, like, look, sir, you're on steroids, just admit it. And Rock is like,
Shut up, bitch!
he ain't trying to hear all that. He like, I ain't finna admit it. I'm 100% natural. I eat 62 pancakes and on my cheat day, and you know, I show my meals on social media, so you know I don't cheat, but you know, that's life. Let's continue.
For The Rock, because he literally stood there and talked to The Rock to his face, and he didn't address the elephant in the room. If you suffer from coronary artery disease, and you have the narrowing of an artery, and you could suffer from a heart attack, a stroke, should you be abusing performance-enhancing drugs? Should you not even address this? Should we not even talk about this? Now, consider this. His dad, he talks about it. It's the start of the video. Oh, he had aches and pains. He refused to treat it. He refused to do it.
That is a glorious shot right there. I ain't never seen that before. I never seen The Rock and his dad in the ring at the same time. That's live.
Anything. What happened? He ended up with cancer, and he died in his 40s. And so, what do you think is going to happen to The Rock? Now, remember,
That's kind of
Let me
scary.
guess. You're thinking of
Oh, come on, lady. Get off my screen. That's actually kind of scary when you think about it. When you put those two things in perspective and think about exactly, did his daddy die that young? Was he really in his 40s when that? No, that's not right. That's not right. Let me rewind it and see what he's talking about, because I could be wrong. Let's go ahead and pull that back up. Let me make sure I got this right. Here we go.
talks about it. It's the start of the video. Oh, he had aches and pains. He refused to treat it. Should you not even address this? Should we not even talk about this? Now, consider this. His dad, he talks about it. It's the start of the video. Oh, he had aches and pains. He refused to treat it. He refused to do anything. What happened? He ended up with cancer, and he died in his 40s.
No
and
way.
So what do you think is
No way. Did he really die in his 40s? I'm going to look that up. While we're watching this, I'm going to look that up and see if it's true.
going to happen to The Rock? Now, remember, this is not something I want to be right about. I don't want to be right when The Rock doesn't make it to the age of 60. I don't want to be right about anything. I want The Rock to live longer than last time. But if you abuse performance-enhancing drugs to the extent of this, especially after you have coronary artery disease, it's not going to end well.
There was what looked to be some stuff inside the
Like a buildup of
like a
what they thought was
buildup,
plaque.
what they thought
in
was
the-
plaque
yeah,
in the circumflex valve.
in the artery, yeah.
Bro is a living heart attack. He's a survivor. He's lucky to be alive, and he does the dye test. It shows a narrowing of his left.
Okay, so we got Rocky Johnson right here, and we have, let's see here. We have Rocky Johnson, born 1944, and he died in 2020. So he was 75. So I don't get what he's saying that his dad died in his 40s. No, sir died at 75 years old, according to Wikipedia. It wasn't his 40s, so I don't know what he's talking about. Big L for Coach Greg over here.
Circumflex. The doctor knows this. He's seen it. And so he's doing bullshit tests like a stool test for gut microbiome. You have a dye test showing the narrowing of the arteries, and you're ordering a stool test. Oh, let's do an MRI. Let's scan the entire body. We already know what he's got. It's not looking good. He needs to come off steroids. Why don't we do exactly what needs to be done? Somebody comes into the hospital with shortness of breath. Oh, I'm experiencing pain down my left arm. Shortness of breath. Okay, let's start by doing a rectal exam. Bend over. Damn! Is that really what you want to do when the bro is complaining of what symptoms of a heart attack? And so why are we doing every other test other than actually treating what he has?
I got this gut issue.
I mean, as passionate as he is, and it may seem like he dogging him, I mean, I think he's like trying to just be like, bro, come clean so we can actually diagnose the exact issue, so you lose your life trying to hide the fact that you're on steroids. But then again, you know, the man was just wrong about his dad, saying his dad died in his 40s. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to big L. You can't you can't be wrong by that much. That's like 3 decades. You said his dad passed in his 40s. I found out he was 75 when he passed away. Bruh. Like, that's way off. Tripping. What is wrong with you? That's not cool.
issue. And he's like, what's going on? I said, I've seen doctors and I can't quite nail it. I can't quite fix it. It's in my digestion.
I've seen the doctors. I can't quite fix it. Let's go from one doctor to the next and see. It's got to be my digestion. It's something I ate. It's my gut microbiome. You've got the dye test. You already know what it is. Is it possible he also has irritable bowel, that he has diarrhea and so on? Sure. But that's not going to end him. Why don't we focus on the main problem first? This makes no sense. The Rock needs to take this seriously, but like anyone else, most people, he's living in denial. I don't want to face up to this. Let's do everything possible to mitigate these circumstances, but not say, hey, you know what? I can't do what I've been doing. I can't always look like The Rock. We've seen other WWE superstars go about this. Remember Batista? He looked significantly smaller. And why do you think that is? He's no longer abusing performance-enhancing drugs. What about Triple H? He literally suffered from the Widowmaker.
I feel great, and that's the odd thing.
He suffered from the Widowmaker. Is that what he said?
He literally suffered from the Widowmaker.
I feel great, and that's the odd thing, but I just can't crack it.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine.
I guess his friend is an ad from a video game is what it seems like. So there's a Rock has seen the multiples of doctors and stuff like that, but he's saying that I can't crack it. I can't figure out what it is. It's like, I think you know what it is. You know what I mean? I think Coach Greg could be right on that part. He might be BSing because he don't want to come through and face the music and have to deal with it with just admitting it. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I wonder what kind of juice he on, because whatever juice he on, he's been on it for a while, and you know, I mean, clearly he don't look as bad as other people do when they be on juice. You know what I mean? Because like him and Triple H are around the same age, and looking at him and Triple H, it's like a night and day difference. You know what I mean? But then again, he might not be, because he do got that Samoan in him, and them Samoans, man, you know, they some naturally big people, and they look like they age gracefully. So then again, it's a toss-up. It's 50-50. So we don't know for sure unless The Rock comes out and say it. Until then, we'll never know. But Coach Greg is going off of all the things that he knows as far as the symptoms that you have, showing that you're on steroids. So we'll see what's up. Wait 1 second. Forgot to put the video back on the screen. My fault.
Came to him with gut issues. He's gone to several doctors. He just can't figure it out. Something to do with his digestion.
And you had said very succinctly, you had said, I'm not going to treat your symptoms. I'm going to go deeper than that. And I'm going to treat the root cause of what's going on.
And so he said, look, I'm going to treat the root cause of what's going on. Functional medicine. Is he a quack? Is he legit? Well, let's see what he did.
What we found was, rather than just sort of like giving you symptomatic treatment, we dug into the why. And we found out that you had taken an antibiotic for something you had.
Two.
I had the same exact thing. I was on several courses of antibiotics. I had pneumonia, bronchitis, and so on. Perhaps you all remember this. And it, in fact, affected my gut. I ended up with candida. I was shitting harder than last time, or actually softer, much softer, and a lot of it. And so I also had gut issues. Yay! He solved his gut issues. This is fantastic. But what about the heart? Now, if you had to pick between heart issues and gut issues, hey, let me shit myself every single day.
I was never a medication guy. Like I wasn't taking any kind of medications or anything like that. And even now, as it relates to my heart.
And so he isn't on any medications whatsoever. He's 100% natural. I'm sure he's not on testosterone or anything like that. And so he's not on any meds. But let's examine the heart.
Okay, where's a colonoscopy line? Let's do that. And
All right.
hey, here's the cardiovascular workup. And let's look at the heart and let's look at all the valves and things like that.
He speaks about they looked at the valves and so on. What he's talking about is he's saying they looked at his coronary arteries.
Everything looked great. And then there was what looked to be some stuff inside the
Like a buildup of
like
what
a
they thought was
buildup,
plaque.
what they thought
And
was
they-
plaque in the circumflex valve.
Everything was great, and then suddenly it wasn't. A buildup of some plaque. And so there was a narrowing of the left circumflex vessel of the heart. And so there's some plaque. He doesn't specify exactly how much. I wish I would know. If there was perhaps 90% or more, it would literally be a heart attack. And in that case, they would need to stent him. And I'm certain they would have spoken about this in this video. And so we don't know, but we have to assume it's less than 90%, but perhaps it's getting close to a heart attack.
I always hear
I don't know. I feel like the way The Rock is speaking about this situation, he sound like he dancing around something. You know what I mean? Like they would have found it. They would have either that or the doctors don't want to mess up any of they find it. Either they spoke to him bluntly, or the doctors are dancing around and they don't want to like tell him what it really is. Like, bruh, they don't want to look at Rock and be like, "Hey, bro, come here, come here, tell the truth. You been on that juice? Have you been on that juice? Bruh. Come on, talk to me. Have you been on that juice?" Bruh. I think that's what it is. I don't know if nobody wants to tell them the truth. A bunch of yes men, because that's a lot of money walking through your door. Nobody want to mess up that bag.
the main two.
Yeah.
That's what you hear.
Yeah.
But for those listening, like me, I was unaware that we also have a really important one.
But then again, I could be wrong. He might be telling the truth this whole time. It's 50-50.
That goes around the back, the circumflex.
And so he's assuming there's only arteries left and right, but there's certainly front and back, lateral, and so on. And so one of them was starting to get blocked.
Well, let's get you on this medication. It's a multi-month medication, and here we go. And I thought, God, and I was so hesitant because I wasn't taking a medication. So then I called you.
And so they said, you know what? Based on what we're seeing, you should be taking this medication. It's important. It's an emergency. You need to start it. And he's thinking, well, I'm on any medications. I take nothing. And so I'm hesitant to take these medications because after all, I'm The Rock. I don't take anything except perhaps Zoa Energy.
I said, Doc, listen, here's what I got. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but what do you think?
And so rather than taking the medication that the doctor suggested he takes, he thinks, I'm going to call somebody else. You know, if I call somebody else, maybe they'll say, I don't need to take it. I don't want to take it. And so let me hop from one doctor to the next until I find a doctor that says, no, it's all right. You don't need to take it.
Let's get a scan done. Here's the report from our head cardiologist, who's a very good friend of yours. And he said, looks great. It is just an anatomical thing.
And so let's just unpackage this load of nonsense.
I was about to say the same thing. Like, I'm like, is it that hard to figure out what the problem is? Like, if this you at the you're at the cardiologist, and all these different doctors you went to, and can't nobody figure out what's wrong with you. I mean, you have the doctors at the highest level. There's no way that they can't figure out what's wrong with bro whatsoever. Like just cut the BS and like admit what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I get you don't want to take the stuff they give you. I get that. But at the same time, you're dealing with top doctors. Like, you can go anywhere in the world to see a doctor, and they can't figure out what's wrong with you.
It's an anatomical thing on this AI scan. The first scan says, hey, you need to take this medication, and it's important. You need to do it right away. The second one says, it's an anatomical thing. And so what exactly is an AI scan? Is it artificial intelligence? It's a magic, it's a robot? Is ChatGPT analyzed the scan and says, no, you don't need to worry. You don't need to take any medication. And you're going to go with that? Is this AI better than a human cardiologist? The dye test, it's conclusive. You don't need another test. When you have the mic drop, the dye test, all the other tests pale in comparison. Was it an MRI scan? You think that's better than the dye test? It's not. And if this was an anatomical thing, something that misformed at birth, anatomical, it's always been there, it would have made it very difficult for him throughout his childhood to play sports, to be active, to be fit. But we're talking about The Rock, an elite level athlete. And so how could it have been an anatomical thing that's been there congenitally since birth? But at the same time, he's a 6-foot+ mountain of muscle, jacked football superstar athlete. How are those two things possible?
It's not built up at all.
Yeah.
His valves look great. Come back in 3 years.
It was such a relief. I don't need to take the medications. Finally, I found a doctor that said that the dye test, that the mic drop test that knows for sure what's going on. They found another test, AI, and you're good. Go away. And you know what? We looked at your cholesterol and
what was amazing was, your cholesterol was actually pretty good. I mean, you had low HDL genetically, which is the good cholesterol.
That's, it's got to be that it's been that way since birth. It's probably in your family genetics, your history. Or could it be that he's on testosterone? HDL, as you know, gets...
Yeah, Coach Greg ain't letting it go. He's like, bro, just admit you on the juice so you can figure out what the problem is before you end up leaving this earth earlier than you intend to. I mean, that's what, if he would just come out and say it if it's true, but if it's not true, he don't want to admit it, or it's just not true, period, you can't get mad at him. He probably just got them good Samoan genetics, you know what I mean? Dudes be as big as rock, but move like they 150, you know what I mean? But that's a scary combination too, let me tell you.
It's lowered when you're using performance-enhancing drugs, namely steroids. Testosterone. How many of you think The Rock is natural? Do I have to keep reminding you? There's a 1 in a million chance he's natural. And so if you're...
Well, maybe he's the 1 in a million, Coach. You ever thought about that, Coach Greg? He might be the 1 in a million.
His doctor and you see lower HDL, are you going to say, yeah, it's probably always been that way since birth? Or are you going to say, Rock, look me in the eyes. It's me and you. I'm your doctor. I'm not going to rat you out. It's client confidentiality. Are you on steroids, Rock? Are you on testosterone, tran, any of this stuff?
That's the Rock you talking about, bro. That's a bag you're gonna be missing out on. You do not want to be like, look, trust me, bro. Look into my eyes. Just listen. I have a client confidentiality I have to keep to you. Patient, client, patient confidentiality. Look me in my eyes and tell me, are you on the juice? And the Rock is gonna look back in your eyes. He's gonna look real deep into your eyes, and he's gonna say, "Shut up, bitch." And then there it is. There's your answer. Here we go.
Rock could then say, yes, doctor, don't tell Coach Greg. I am on testosterone. Okay. The HDL is low because you're on testosterone. Even if it's just on HRT, even lower doses, HDL can be lower. But instead, he goes on this podcast and I believe lies deliberately. I don't believe that a doctor with 1.43 million followers with this level of experience, looking at the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sitting in front of him, 250 plus pounds of muscle, and thinks he's 100% natural, that he's never taken any medications in his life, and that he's not actually on steroids when that's a clear side effect of taking performance-enhancing drugs. And so it's impossible to have at least 1 in a million low HDL and normal cholesterol unless you're on a statin. And so are they lying? Is The Rock actually on a statin? Normal cholesterol, low HDL. And if you believe that The Rock has never lied in the past, remember The Rock in that interview when he says, I've never had any candies before? Or, oh, better yet, remember when The Rock lied and said, this is the first time I've ever been in this fast food restaurant. I'm going to try these burgers out for the very first time. And there's video footage of him doing the exact same video more than once.
They caught him slipping. Oh, man, let me see. This is 2017 and they caught him later. I mean, if you're going to say you never have a fast food chain, don't go to the same one and try to pass the lie by on the same one. At least go to like Jack in the Crack or something. Like, you can't go to the same one twice and try to use the same lie. Come on, family. Come on.
On the same restaurant years ago. The Rock has been caught lying.
When we did a deeper panel, you didn't really have any of the risk factors. Your inflammation level was super low.
And so he says, you don't have any risk factors. Your inflammation's low, ApoA1C. What about the risk factor of steroids? Are we just going to avoid that, skip that out, avoid the elephant in the room? Or has perhaps The Rock even lied to this doctor? Doctor, look at me. I'm 100% natural. Now, I know you probably heard of the Liver King, and he said he was natural, and he ended up not being natural, but I'm not the Liver King. I'm Mike O'Hearn.
Okay, we all know that the Liver King and Mike O'Hearn are both 100% natural. Come on now, cut it out. Look at this 60-something-year-old man. This is straight steak, potatoes, rice, and eggs is all he eats. Nothing else. He don't take no juice.
He and Mike O'Hearn, the two of us are natural. And then The Rock, like Paul Saladino, he just believes it. This doctor being the doc of The Rock, how much money do you think he's going to make? Every friggin' guy that has money is going to be like, I want The Rock's doc. They're on stairs. I'm going to go see this doc and, hey.
He ain't finna let this bag slip away. Who would? You know what I mean? He this bag ain't getting away from him.
Hey, I've got problems with my heart. I got all this going on. I'll go see that doctor and say, hey, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. We'll treat the gut problems. And you're fine. You live forever. Just know, please consider the possible bias of this doctor?
All the bad cholesterol particles tend to be the result of eating too much starch and sugar, not necessarily fat.
Or is it lack of exercise? He's saying blame everything on sugar. Sugar is not inherently bad if you exercise off those calories. And so I'm going to do a bike race after this. Perhaps I'll burn 1,200 calories. If I consume a few hundred grams of sugar, do you really think that's going to ruin my metabolism? I'm not going to be healthy? Or is it people are eating hella licorice, gummy bears, and sitting around doing nothing and becoming obese? And if we're going to talk about what causes higher levels of cholesterol, it's more likely saturated fat than actually consuming sugar. But really, it's being obese and not exercising.
What was that biomarker that connects to dementia? What is that? Can you talk a little bit about
it's
that?
ApoE.
Hey, at the end of the day, he's he's milking the living hell. Because I mean, he made money on this podcast. Him and the doctor, they both made out like a bandit on this podcast. Think about it, bro. Doctor over here making a bank. I got The Rock doing the podcast with me. You know he got paid doing this podcast. I mean, think about it. You got Coach Greg going over going over the podcast. Then we going over the podcast on Coach Greg channel. Like, he's making out like a bandit, just saying, "Oh man, I got this illness, this disease." Maybe if I just tell the public, drag it out, make it seem suspenseful, I'll make a bag off of this. And he sure the hell is. He's making a huge bag off of this, watching these interviews and podcasts. So at the end of the day, it's a great money grab. You know what I mean? It's a great way to get money off of a alleged, disease you have. And if, somebody want to call you out for it to pull up your records for your doctor's visits, I mean, you can show that you've been visiting, but you making out like a bandit on the back end.
So yeah, you can get a test to see, are you at a greater risk of developing dementia? And if you are, well, you should eat healthier, you should exercise, you should avoid alcohol. These are things that everyone should be doing anyway. If you do these things, less likely to get cancer, less likely to be obese, less likely for everything. Being healthy, guess what? Last I checked, and yeah, it's still, let me see what time it is, it's still healthy. Being healthy is always healthy. It's better to do the good things than the bad things. 150 minutes of cardio a week, lifting weights, managing stress, going to sleep, avoiding drugs and alcohol. These are good things to do daily. You don't need a test to say, oh, you have this symptom and you might get this and that. All of you drinking alcohol, all of you abusing steroids, all are at risk. All of you should be optimally healthy right now. So how does knowing that I'm more likely to get a problem help me when I'm already doing every single thing possible to avoid that in the first place? And so if anything, I'm now stressed out. Dang it. I got shitty ass genetics. I'm going to die of a heart attack. So I get more stress, more cortisol. Guess what? I get the heart attack even quicker. And there is
Hey man, so calm down, Coach Greg. Calm down, bro. You wildin'. You're wildin'. Relax. Jesus, you're gonna pull a freaking neck vessel. But he does have a point, though. Can't knock him. He does have a valid point. I can't argue with him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if The Rock ever come clean. If he's really, on something, or if he can point stuff in a direction. But I just don't think that with the level of doctors that he has, like, he's having this much issue dealing with it. To me, it's just you are getting a bag off of this. That's all I see it as. That's what I see. That's really it. Nothing else.
Is in fact research, right? It's like the placebo effect or the positive mindset effect. If you have cancer, for example, and you believe in yourself and you think positive versus, oh, I'm doomed, those people live longer and better. And so always try to keep a positive mindset. And if you're getting all these tests ordered to find out, oh, I'm more likely to have Alzheimer's, I'm more likely to get this and get that and get that, when you're already doing everything possible to be healthy, it's not beneficial. So why would I want to know that? It's not beneficial. Do you know who it benefits though? The clinic, who then charges you for the blood work, charges you for the medications, charges you for everything. And so they're incentivized to test you harder than last time for everything. Imagine how much money The Rock's got. Hey, Rock, well, you know what? Instead of taking that medicine, that would be $1,000, pay that medicine. Why don't we do 15,000 tests and do every single other thing possible? It'll be $100,000, which makes them more money.
So we now actually have even blood tests that are blood biomarkers some of the proteins that get released when you
That's
have
right.
Alzheimer's in your blood. And we can look at that. And if you don't have that, you're clean.
You really think that just because that test says you're not going to get Alzheimer's, you can't get it? What if you have a stroke? That would be like saying, hey, I went to the doctor, they checked out my heart, I did the scan, everything, and I can.
It just doesn't make sense. That's why it's so hard to figure out what's wrong with them. They just milking it. They just milking it. Just follow the money, follow the bag. It's a good way to get money. I mean, you know, make it a suspense. Put a good story behind it. Hell, is it even true at the end of the day? Like, does bruh even have coronary, what is it? Is it coronary artery disease? Is it even true? Like, do we have any paperwork? Do we know if this is really happening? You don't know. It's hard to believe anything. You just can't tell.
Never die. I'm on Brian Johnson's blueprint plan. I'm going to live forever. I don't have to worry. And you walk out across the street with your eyes closed, you get hit by a truck. It doesn't work like that.
And so we found out you actually had what we call the
Probably one of the biggest.
Oh my goodness. They keep hitting me with these ads. But yeah. But I don't know, man. I mean, if he would just, what he should do a blood panel and show us his blood work. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Get your blood work done. See what's going on. See what's good. And there has to be a reason why he picked this doctor and got this doctor, because it's the Dr. Hyman show. So what are the chances that he goes to a doctor that has a show, and now The Rock is featured on a Dr. Hyman show? You know what I mean? A lot of it is just like it's just real janky. It don't sound, to me, it doesn't sound authentic. Something's up. I mean, it just sound like BS all over. But hopefully he doesn't have no disease.
And so cool, he paid a bunch of money, did a bunch of tests, and now he thinks he's invincible. Hell, I got the jackpot gene. I'm going to double the dose of my tren. This is bordering on eugenics. This is something the Nazis invented. What are we now going to exclude certain parts of the population that don't have these supreme genetics?
Probably. I mean, wouldn't put that past nobody.
It's ridiculous. And so this is what's bad from eugenics. Imagine this. All the insurance companies now demand all of these tests. Okay, you got to get these tests. And you find out, oh, you can't get health care because, well, it says here you're going to get dementia. And so we won't insure you. Oh, you are most likely to have a heart attack. You're done.
you had like the ApoE2, which is the gene that means you kind of live a long time. You know, the people who like smoke and drink and live forever.
Yeah.
You're kind of one of those.
Frigging sucking off the rock harder than last time, bro. Did you?
He said he's straight sucking off the rock harder than last time, bro. Oh my goodness, Coach Greg is wild for that one. Did the hand motion and everything. Said he's playing with the rock's rock. Pause.
Do you really need to add the twist? The twist and pull. I mean, how much slobbering are you doing right now? This is a simp.
You have a 2-3.
No amount of tequila.
Well, I don't know
is
about that. There is an amount of tequila that can override your genes. That's for sure.
I mean, doesn't it sound like The Rock has been going from doctor to doctor to find the one doctor that tells him what he wants to hear, not what he needs to hear? Remember, I tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You want to hear you're good. You can drink as much of that tequila as you want. You do all the steroids in secret. Don't tell anyone, and no problem. If he dies in 5 years, he dies in 5 years. Does it matter? He's made his money. The Rock's happy. But if he tells him the truth, levels with him, Rock, got to stop the steroids. It's not good. You can't be drinking alcohol, tequila. What are you talking about? It's class 1 carcinogen. I know you sell it, make a lot of money from it, but it's killing people. Probably shouldn't do it.
Why do you think is
Yeah, that's the point. Like I said, out of all the doctors that he got, he ended up with the one with a show. Out of all the doctors, you end up with the one with a podcast. So it's just saying it's fishy. But hey, shout out to The Rock though. He getting to the bag. He getting to the money. It looks like an incision right here. Like he got cut right here, but maybe it's just part of his neck and skin or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, out of all the doctors you got, this is a nasty vein bulging out bro's head. Jesus.
dudes in general are like that?
We see this as pretty classic in medicine. You know, women always are more proactive about their health.
And so, of course, we know this. Women are more proactive about their health. Men, no, I'm tough. I wouldn't go to the doctor. I'm not going no matter what. The Rock's dad, literally, he explained this. And so what do you think the chances are? The Rock, he just doesn't want to know. Hey, you fixed my tummy, but do I really want to know what's going on with my heart? I don't want to get tested because ignorance is bliss. Have you ever heard of that statement? What you don't know, it can't hurt you. And so if he did do the test, found out the things, then maybe he'd have to stop. Trust me, I've coached a number of bodybuilders abusing performance-enhancing drugs, test, trend, and so on. And I'm telling them, I need to see your blood work. No, I don't want to see it. Finally see it. You need to stop. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I don't know what to tell you. I've never seen blood work this bad. Well, I'm not stopping. I'll just cut out the trend. What do you mean you're not going to stop? They can't stop. These are guys that have been on trend, 700 milligrams for a year straight. They don't care. Heart attack, they still don't care. Oh, they'll go off cycle for a while and they hop back on. Unbelievable.
He kind of toughed through it, and he had all these aches and pains, refused to go see the doctor. He was 45 when he died.
First, we offer overnight boarding.
Okay, wait a minute. So now I got to retract what I said. He just said his dad was 45 when he passed away. So then why do I have the rocket? Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to pull this up. I don't understand. Hold on. Here we go. Listen here. And then we're going to pull up the thing. So here we go. Let's hear that one more time.
Aches and pains, refused to go see the doctor. He was 45 when he died.
What was the pain? Was it something?
Cancer.
Grandfather died 45, cancer, refused.
Grandfather. Okay, not father, grandfather. Okay, let me see. So then let me type him out. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to type him up while this goes on. Let me just double check. I'm not saying I got to, Rock just said how old he was, but just want to double check. Yeah, whatever.
Used to go and see a doctor. Case closed.
And we use very sophisticated AI to make the interpretation much more accurate, much higher resolution.
How much is the
$4.99?
And so here's the thing. This is a nonstop ad for the clinic to buy the scans and so on. $499. Yet I just looked. It's $3,999. Total body scan, the one that you want. That's a lot of money. And how much money do you think he's making? Millions of dollars by pretending that if you get these tests, well, you're going to be healthy. Yay! Only you're not. And so here's the scam. You do the total body scan and they're going to find something that's slightly off and they're going to demand more tests. You spend more money and they do this and they do that. And then in the end, does it even matter? And in the end, oh, guess what? You have this gene. You might get Alzheimer's in 20 years. And so you have to do more cardio, eat healthier, and be healthy. I'm telling you for free right now, do the things that they're going to tell you to do in case you have the problems. Less alcohol, less drugs, sleep, cardio, lift some weights. It's simple. Be healthy. Stop being fat. Processed foods, less of those. Less shit. This is the solution, and it's for free. You shouldn't all be getting full body MRIs. Now, if you got cancer, they got to see if it's metastasis. Like, yeah, I get it. But everyone shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm getting a body scan. No.
Right? You're the Rock, which is invincible.
Yeah, sexiest man alive. I got a lot of...
Sexiest man alive.
And so The Rock, The Rock is invincible until he's not. And I'm telling you, his Achilles heel is the fact that he's abusing performance-enhancing drugs. He has stenosis of one of his main coronary vessels, and they downplay the shit out of it and act like it's nothing. No big deal. The Rock, he doesn't take any medications, only based on what he said, it clearly shows likely taking a statin, the lower LDL. The fact his cholesterol is normal. The fact that The Rock has this much muscle, does anyone think that he's actually natural? But they avoid the elephant in the room. They don't discuss performance-enhancing drugs. Do you not think this would be a much better video if The Rock, who's concerned with everyone's health, hey, get the test done. Get all the testing. Why doesn't The Rock say, do you know what? I probably shouldn't have used steroids. I am 53, and now that I look back on it, they were dangerous. And so expect The Rock to now get winded on activities he used to be able to do. Perhaps during his training session, he's the toughest man in the room. He's up at 4:30, but he can no longer lift what he once lifted. He can't put out the same level of cardio. Shortness of breath, he's getting tired. Oh, it's just because I'm old. Or is it because his blood vessel is no longer patent? It's being blocked. Less blood flow is circulating through it. And so he's now at a disadvantage.
People think of you as sort of invincible, and even your name, like The Rock, is sort of emblematic of that.
The pressure of that, Doc. We
pressure,
gotta talk
I know.
about that. Jesus
I know,
Christ.
it's hard.
And so he says, The Rock is invincible. The Rock answers, the pressure of that. The pressure to use steroids, to have that invincible look. He's the...
There should be no pressure on being invincible, because ain't nobody invincible. Nobody's invincible. So for him to so for him to say that and say that the pressure of being Mr. Invincible would make a lot of sense as to what Coach Greg is saying. Like, he wouldn't want to admit being on juice, because then you have to admit a fault, I guess. But I mean, you're not really at fault. Like, you're on juice. It's just, it is what it is. No big deal. Just be honest with it, and then we'll know the diagnosis of what is true, if it's the juice or not. But if you're Mr. Invincible and you're gonna have to overlook that too. I mean, you know what? To be honest, maybe the doctor knows he's on the juice, and they just made a podcast to make money, but they ain't gonna tell the truth on the surface. But underneath, they know what it is. But on the surface, they can't tell us about it because of an image. So I think that's what it could be.
The Rock. He needs to look
I mean, hell, how much you think he paying for that secret?
like one. Rock hard muscle. The Rock is a superstar actor with hundreds of millions of followers, one of the most famous men in the world. Imagine the difference it had made if he had said, you know what? I'm not natural. I want to admit to everyone. But he did not.
But you've been really vulnerable here. You've shared your medical story. You've shared what's going on. You've shared some of the fears you've had, some of the stuff in your family.
I feel like this is not being vulnerable whatsoever. Hey, they did a test on me, and I said, this is bullshit. I'm the Rock. I'm invincible. I found another doc to do some AI tests, say, I'm also still invincible. And how is it vulnerable to say, I have the superior gene. You can drink and smoke and live forever? That's not vulnerable. Vulnerable is saying, I abuse steroids, and it's dramatically likely shortening my life. I did this test, and it's too late. It sucks. I have this, I have that. Not, I don't have this, I don't have that. That is not vulnerable. How is he being vulnerable? Oh, I'm the Rock and I did a bunch of tests. Turns out I'm freaking fantastic.
Well, I just want to thank you for being so courageous, for leaning in your own health,
man.
for actually using your voice to.
If a man took testosterone,
Okay, so basically what the doctor's saying is that, yeah, I don't know what the doctor's saying. Doctor is just doing a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. I mean, doctor ain't saying nothing at all. Like, he's just doing a bunch of word salad. That's really it. I mean, I think what the Rock is afraid to hear, as far as like the truth coming out if he's on juice, he just doesn't want to hear somebody, you know, hold him accountable, and then they gonna look at him and say,
Prepare the meat, so don't.
which I hope that's not the case. I don't think it is. I think if he just looked in the mirror and just decided, you know, let me stop doing this. But then, you know, I think this is what it could be. He's been so accustomed to his look and his physique for so long that once he get off that juice, he's gonna deflate. He's gonna get smaller. He's not gonna be as big and as jockey as he was. And to have to face that, you know what I mean? Because he's like already in his head loving the way he looks. He don't want to go down from that. He's in love with the image of himself in the mirror, that he don't want to, you know, go back from that and lose this image that he's worked all his life for. So he's like, man, the hell with that. Like, I'm not finna sit here and be waking up and looking at something other in the mirror than what I'm not pleased with. I think that's what it is. He's like at a conniption. You know, he's real conflicted in his head about the situation. And to have to lose gains and admit steroids and lose gains, that could be partially it. Or he probably not on steroids. He could be natural.
It's about this.
Notice that they did not do an exercise stress test. Instead, did this AI form of examination. And so, what makes more sense? The low-hanging fruit, the exercise stress test, or let's use some AI testing and make an ad so that thousands of people also want to do this. It's the Rock with the doc. People are going to flock to this in groves, paying thousands of dollars and avoiding what we already know to be true. And so, Rock, please be careful. And so rather than using performance-enhancing drugs, Turk Builder Max.
Okay, this is the part where he tries to sell us his product. We're going to have to call it quits right there, Coach Greg, but we thank you and we appreciate everything you did for us in this video. Give him a round of applause. Yes, sir. So that's that. That's it for that one, people. At the end of the day, take juice at your own risk, and if your whole livelihood is predicated on it or depends on it, the decision you're gonna have to make on how you want to ride out the rest of it, unless you're gonna be honest, dishonest, or if you really are natty or no natty, whatever the case may be. Figure out what it is and, you know, just roll it till the wheels fall off. I mean, it's your decision, right or wrong. Free will to do what you want to do. Just try to do the right thing. That's my humble opinion. Yeah. So yeah, that's my humble opinion. Shout out to The Rock. All right. So with that being said, y'all, we're going to get into the next segment of the show. Well, no, we're not. We are going to talk about the organelle of the day. Yes, that is right. We're going to talk about the organelle of the day and see exactly what is going on inside our bodies. You know, the whole know thyself. So let's go ahead and get to the organelle of the day, which is going to be the nucleus. The nucleus, one of the most important things in our bodies. And we're going to learn exactly how the nucleus works. So with that being said, let me get this pulled up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Bam. There we go. We got the nucleus going in circles. Bam. Yes. All right, so here we go. Let me get this right real quick. Give me 1 second. I just had it up. Where is it? All right, so let me go ahead and get to the organelle of the day, which is going to be the nucleus. So we have this right here. The nucleus is a membrane-bound organelle found in the eukaryocytes cells that serve as the control center of the cell. Here's a breakdown of its key features and functions. Structure of the nucleus, nuclear envelope. The double membrane that surrounds the nucleus containing nuclear pores that regulate what enters and exits. For example, RNA and proteins. Then we have the nucleoplasm, the jelly-like substance inside the nucleus, also called nuclear sap. Then we have the nucleolus. I said that right. A dense structure within the nucleus responsible for ribosomes reproduction. Then we have the chromatin. So DNA wrapped around the proteins and condenses into chromosomes during cell division. Oh, man, it is hot in here. I'm trying not to burn up. Then the functions of the nucleus is going to be it stores genetic information. So it contains DNA, the blueprint for all the cellular proteins and functions. 2, it's the control center, the controls cellular activities. It controls cellular activities. And it regulates gene expression and coordinates cell growth, metabolism, and reproduction, ribosome production. So number 3 is ribosome production. The nucleus synthesizes ribosomal RNA and assembles ribosomes. And number 4 is cell division. It organizes DNA replication and division. So mitosis and meiosis, if you know what that is. And the fun fact is that prokaryotic cells like bacteria do not have a nucleus. Their DNA floats freely in the cytoplasm in a region called the nucleoid. All right. So that's going to be the nucleus right here that we have on the screen. Well, that we should have had on the screen, but I didn't have it up. But here it is. We'll watch a little short video on how all of this stuff works. Not going to watch the whole thing, but we'll watch a little bit of it. So give me a second. Let me get this sound back on and we'll hear what the nucleus is all about.
No matter what type of cell they are.
And shout out to Nucleus Medical Media. Fair use. We're going to watch a little clip of this video.
All cells have a cell membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from its environment. Cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like fluid, and DNA, which is the cell's genetic material. There are 2 broad categories of cells. The first category is eukaryotic cells. They have organelles, which include the nucleus and other special parts. Eukaryotic cells are more advanced, complex cells, such as those found in plants and animals. The second category is prokaryotic cells. They don't have a nucleus or membrane-enclosed organelles. They do have genetic material, but it's not contained within a nucleus. Prokaryotic cells are always one-celled or unicellular organisms, such as bacteria. So, what are organelles? Organelle means little organ.
Okay, I think that's all that we need for that right there. That's really all we need for the organelle of the day. But the nucleus is what that is. So hopefully you've learned something today so you can understand the nucleus of the body and what is so important about that. So there you go. That one was a little bit rough. Got a little lost there on that one for a minute, but we're all good. We're all good. Where is my, there it is. Got that. So yeah, so hopefully everything is okay with the rock, and hopefully you understand now that with the nucleus in the body, that that is one of the most important things inside of our body, what it does and the functions and the features that it has. And yeah, hopefully the rock's body is a-okay. Hopefully they can figure out what it is. Hopefully this isn't just a money grab and just blowing smoke up everybody just because, you know, that wouldn't be cool. But then again, you know, the world we live in, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You don't know what it could be, if it's real or it's fake. But at the end of the day, you know, take care of yourself, get your body in the gym, you know, be fit, and you know, try not to, you know, be too sedentary, be too lazy, and, you know, never take care of yourself, because that's something that you really don't want to deal with. But with that being said, real quick, we will check out this one thing real quick. Oh, I didn't want to hit the video, but we will look at the sponsor of today's show. While we're at it, looking at the sponsor of today's show is going to be yours truly. Oh my gosh, that looks so fantastic. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Sponsor today's show. If you're ever on my YouTube channel, Daily Fitness, the one you're on right now, if you're not watching the live stream, you can always click on the video tab and see the video section where we have workout videos for you that we usually upload at least once a week, or try for once a week. But, you know, at least about 2 or 3 times a month, we'll have new workout videos posted for you, and we're going to pick up that pace a little bit too as well. But we got these workout videos on you that you can always go on the video tab and check out and watch. And in case you can't make it to the gym, I got you for the workouts at home. And if you want to catch the live stream shows, just go to the live tab and see all the live stream shows. But shout out to the sponsor of today. That boy look good too, man. It's a handsome fella right there, I tell you. It's one handsome dude. Yeah, I normally would say pause, but not on that one. I'm gonna go for a rainbow on that guy. Yeah, that guy, I'll go for a rainbow for him. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Anyway, with that being said, man, that's gonna be it for the fitness segment of the show. We're gonna jump in. I should have an outro, but I don't. I gotta work on that. I gotta work on the outro for these segments. I don't have that, but we're gonna get into that. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the economy portion of the show. And this is where it's going to get interesting and for real. This right here, we're going to jump into the next segment, which is the economy. And we're going to actually talk about Palantir. So Palantir is going to be for the economy portion of the show. And we're going to learn and dive deep into what exactly, who they are, what they do, and how they're going to be reshaping the entire economy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let our lovely, beautiful woman bring us into the economy portion of the show.
Welcome to the economy segment of the show. Enjoy.
Sheesh, yes, I'm going to enjoy you. What you talking about, girl? Sheesh. Man, she came in here walking, you hear them heels clicking. I looked at her like, boy. Anyway, back to Palantir, or Planeteer, or Palantir. They're a tech company that's been going on and doing their thing. We're going to have a dude who used to work there, and he's going to explain his concerns of what's going on. But we're going to sit here and see exactly what it is that's going on with this company, if it's good, if it's bad, or whatnot. And we're just going to see the mission and the motto of what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be either having an effect on our future or not. So with that being said, we're going to, before we do, go ahead and hit that refresh button, because you know how YouTube be doing. All right, cool. We didn't have an ad. So we got Buddy right here in the windowsill, and we're going to get straight to it like it's nothing to it. So where we at? Bam, there it is. Change that banner. And then we're going to go in and check this video out because it is very interesting. So we're going to pay attention to see exactly what Palantir does. If you haven't heard of him, you're about to right now. This guy who used to work there is going to tell us all about it. I'll interject in between, but let's stay tuned to this because there's a lot to unpack moving forward from now all the way to the end. So here we go.
It's one thing to criticize your former employer. It's taboo to do that. But to criticize an employer that also owns extremely lethal technologies and surveillance technologies that are highly invasive and used in war zones is something else entirely.
It's 2025. We're all kind of used to government surveillance. The idea that we're all being watched all the time and don't own our own personal data has become normalized. We're also used to the military spending vast amounts of our money on just a few giant defense contractors. But one tech company wants to change both of those things
and become the ultimate military contractor and the ultimate arbiter of all of our data.
Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir.
All right, so my question to that guy with the really bad hair, this guy right here, Jesus Christ. I mean, the white tee is hella crispy. I just got to put that out there. That white tee is super crispy. I like that white tee, but after that, we got to fix his hair, my friend. And I don't get how rich people do not take care of their teeth. Oh, that drives me up a wall. You can't be this rich and have a hairdo like this and your teeth all, come on, bro. But that white tee is super crispy. So shout out to you. But my question to him is, he's speaking on, the company and how they're going to go affect the enemy. But my question I always have is, who is the enemy? Who do you consider the enemy is? And we're going to find out if we ever find out who the enemy is. So here we go.
And when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir shares surging 22% after the company cited a boom in demand for its AI software from the U.S. government.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
Palantir, a tech company based here in Denver, claims they can revolutionize government systems with their data analysis software, newly powered by artificial intelligence.
They've been hired by the Department of Defense, the FBI, local police departments, and even the IRS and Wendy's to take in the information those organizations collect even more information, and use that data to draw conclusions.
It can be used to completely reconfigure organizations' ontology, its reality, what systems matter, what information matters, what processes matter, how they are structured, what biases are introduced at each of those stages.
We talked to a former Palantir employee, dug into decades of research, and listened to hours of Alex Karp's own words to unwrap the layers of Palantir's carefully cultivated sales pitch, how they capitalize on fear, uncertainty, and unrest.
I don't think in win-lose, I think in domination. This is a company built for bad times. Bad times mean strong finances internally. Bad times are very good for Palantir because we build products that are robust, that are built for danger.
Let's rewind a little.
Palantir's story starts with one of the most effective things a company can have for sales: fear.
After the September 11th attacks, the United States government began expanding surveillance both at home and abroad. This was, of course, a boon for the defense industry at large. Simultaneously, the Silicon Valley tech industry was growing fast and making people in a once obscure industry very, very rich, very, very quickly. Like the founders and executives at PayPal, known as...
That's the founders and executives of PayPal? There is no way in hell these dudes is the founders and executives of PayPal.
Bruh.
This looked like a straight up mafia movie.
Bruh.
Like look at this picture, bro. Like, you talking to me? Huh? You talking to me? I bust your balls. You hear me? Yeah. You mooly, you effing jabroni, you. You sleeping with the fishes. Yeah. I can't believe it's the PayPal crew. I would have thought it was a bunch of nerds. Bruh. I mean, maybe they are nerds, but they probably nerds that'll, well, it's just like that last dude said with the bad hairdo. He said, I don't look at, what did he say? I don't look at competition. I look at domination. So his mindset is on some mafia stuff, you know what I mean? But hey, let's continue. This is getting interesting already because this photo has got me intrigued.
The PayPal Mafia. Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn guy, and Peter Thiel. When PayPal was sold, Thiel had millions of dollars burning a hole in his pocket.
Oh, wow. I've seen this photo. I've always used to roast Elon for this hairdo and all this stuff. And I never thought that this was the other dude on the other side. Ooh, this plot is about to get thick. I've always seen this photo. And I used to roast the hell out of Elon for this hairdo. And people always remember this. Always remember when it comes to your looks, you're not you're not ugly, you're just broke. I always keep that in mind. So if you ever think like, you know, something's wrong with you, 9 times out of 10, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. You're just broke. And keep this in mind. This picture is a younger Elon Musk. This dude probably in his early 30s, 20s. You know, they age horribly, but he's probably in his late 20s, mid 20s, maybe even early 30s. But this is the younger version of Elon Musk. And nowadays, he look younger now than he does in this picture. Bruh was stressing trying to get this product out, and boy, did it pay off bigly.
And an idea. PayPal had developed systems for detecting fraud and crimes on the platform. What if they could use similar thinking to analyze the world at large? So Thiel pulled from his network to build out a new company. One of the first hires was Thiel's Stanford Law School roommate, Alex Karp, who'd gone on after Stanford to get a PhD.
Okay, so that's the Mr. Bad Hair guy. All right, now he looked better younger. He looks worse now. I mean, his hair was doing a lot better. I'll give him that, but yeah.
PhD in not business or computer science or engineering, but neoclassical social theory. They named the company Palantir, after the Palantiri from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, a Palantir stone is a magical object that allows its users to predict the future or to see what's going on in a remote location.
It was originally created by the elves. It was meant to be used for good purposes. It is potentially a very dangerous technology. It's very powerful.
Long have you hunted me?
So that's Middle Earth, but what does Palantir do in a regular Earth?
And what we do is we use what legal scholars call predicate-based search. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
Put simpler, they make software that makes it easier for their customers to collect and analyze data, and then act on that analysis with and without AI. By 2013, 10 years after their founding, Palantir's client list included the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Marines, the Air Force, Special Operations Command, and more.
Did your company help to track and kill Osama bin Laden?
You know, we can never. I'll tell you, the closest thing to an answer is when you look at when you open the paper and look in the news about these kind of things, there's a 2/3 chance, depending on the country involved, that somehow my company was involved.
Fundamentally, the mission that is.
That was a yes or no question, my friend. That's all that was. It's no different than when you ask a woman a yes or no question and she don't answer yes or no and she dance around. She guilty, bruh. She just ain't trying to tell you the truth. My man's here was straight guilty on that answer. Bruh. Come on, fam. All right, so well we know that the answer was yes. He just didn't want to say it.
It's pushed to employees is that we're solving the world's hardest problems and supporting Western institutions. That is the main driver of sort of this militaristic culture that is developed inside of Palantir.
If you do not feel comfortable supporting the legitimate efforts of America and its allies in the context of war, don't join Palantir.
This entire message of like, we are the most lethal, we are the most able to surveil and process large amounts of data.
You have created the system which you call kill chain.
Privately. Publicly, the lawyers have some innocuous something like tech for the amelioration of unwanted blah blah blah. Some term we're supposed to use.
Okay, let's.
For me, it's the kill chain.
Kill chain sounds good.
Kill chain isn't an original term created by Palantir. It's the more general military verbiage for the series of decisions leading from identifying a target to taking their life. Palantir's contract added their software and artificial intelligence to the kill chain.
It's quicker and better and safer and more violent.
It's tech that Juan helped market.
It reduces the distance you have to the problem, but when you're able to take a step back and really see all the narratives and how they were shaped and the actual application of these technologies, your whole world starts falling apart, which is something that, you know, definitely happened to me.
Juan.
I mean, so far, the technology looking like some enemy of the state stuff. Remember, if you ever remember Enemy of the State, where they hunted down Will Smith meticulously and was trying to unalive him over that tape or disc or floppy disk or whatever it was at that time? Because you remember Enemy of the State was like, what, 2004? But they were showing that type of stuff back then. Now, fast forward to 20 years later, you can only imagine how much better it's gotten since then, bruh. So if that was that then, I mean, they could probably look at me right now through all these walls where I'm at and actually like see, well, I mean, they'll just go through my camera and just be like, you know what I mean? They'll just go through my camera and look at me and they'll be like, sir, excuse me.
Shut up, bitch!
And I'll have to just be like,
didn't leave Palantir entirely for ethical reasons. He just got another job. But the reason he eventually started speaking out against Palantir came after watching the Israeli invasion of Gaza following the October 7th attacks. Palantir has contracts with the Israeli Defense Forces. The exact nature of the contracts is opaque, intentionally, but there is evidence to suggest that Palantir's artificial intelligence tech was used for selecting targets in Gaza. Karp doesn't mind the controversy. In fact, it's part of the marketing.
Palantir will even pick up the projects that other companies rejected for political reasons.
Palantir grabbed Project Maven defense contract after Google left the program. Sources.
We are very comfortable.
I'm gonna see what that
says.
says.
Rejected for political reasons.
Okay, Palantir is taken, according to the project refers to internally at Palantir's Tron will train AI to analyze aerial drone footage to identify people and objects. Sheesh.
We are very comfortable being unpopular.
Karp doesn't think controversy will lose Palantir customers.
Whatever is pissing them off, they're still buying the product.
Wendy's.
Okay, he wasn't kidding about that domination. He was serious. Wendy's, here we go. So from farm to frosty, Palantir is bringing AI to the Wendy's supply chain. What the hell?
Hired Palantir to help with their supply chain. Palantir works with health insurance companies to build AI for denials management to protect revenue.
Do you want Palantir's AI making decisions about what care is covered for you and your loved ones?
They also do business with for-profit hospitals, major investment banks, and even other defense contractors. In 2024, Palantir brought in nearly $2.9 billion in revenue, 55% of which came from government sources, with the vast majority being American. So let's look at their pitch to the American government. Last year, Palantir CTO Shyam Sankar put out a presentation and white paper called The Defense Reformation. He cites The Last Supper, which was a secretive 1993 meeting between defense industry executives and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Over a dozen companies walked in, and only a few walked out. That dinner is often cited as the origin of our consolidated military-industrial complex.
And to me, I think this was the definitive moment that kicked off the financialization of defense. From that point forward, it became all about buybacks and dividends and leverage ratios.
Criticizing the financialization of the defense industry, calling out stock buybacks, that doesn't sound like a defense executive. That sounds more like the exact argument about the defense industry that we have made before.
I think what's interesting to me about Palantir is how they co-opt the language of revolution.
But Sankar's argument did work on somebody. Uncle Sam. The Defense Innovation Board, an advisory group within the Department of Defense, cited Sankar's presentation multiple times in their 2024 report on why the DoD needs to divert more of their budget to emerging technology. That's giving money to Palantir. There's a reason Palantir just replaced Ford Motors in the S&P 100 in the months after Trump was elected.
It replaced Ford Motors? Right after Trump got elected. And I'm assuming that that's this year. I'm assuming that it's this term because we're speaking in 2025 terms. So Palantir has replaced Ford Motors, and it's, I wonder if it's on it is, joining the S&P 500. Palantir is on the S&P 500. Okay.
The Trump administration is an ideal customer for what Palantir is selling. First, there are many former Palantir employees sprinkled across the Trump administration, from inside DOGE to foreign policy advisors to high-level technology appointees. And Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, heavily invested in the company, is also heavily invested in President Trump.
Hey, This dude right here. This dude right here. This dude. You know what? I was gonna save it for later, but I can't save it. I have to show you. I have to show you. Hold on. Here we go.
You would prefer the human race.
Here we go. I have to show you. I have to show you. Here we go. All right. So before we go any further, just this is dude. Look at this. Watch this. Watch this. Right there. I hate to laugh, but just watch this. Oh my goodness. All right. So this dude right here. Check it out. You ready? Here it goes. Watch this. Watch this.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
We in trouble. We are in trouble. It was like he just couldn't say it. He couldn't say it. I'm sorry. Homeboy was like, I would. It's a complicated question.
Bruh.
Oh my God. Oh. Well, I'm gonna tell you what he wanted to say. Let me find it. What he really wanted to say was this. He wanted to say,
prepare the meat so don't.
That's what he wanted to say. That's really what he wanted to say. He's like, look, bro, I mean, let's hear it one more time. Let's hear the $1 million question. Here we go.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right?
All right. That's enough. I had to show you that before we continue this video. Let me find the video now. Where is it? Oh my goodness. All right, here we go. Back to the video. And that was him, by the way. That was him. I just had to show you that. I couldn't get, I was going to wait till later to show you, but I just had to show you. Look at this. We in trouble. We got problems. Everybody fighting about relationships. Women won't listen. Not get married. The left wing and the right wing. You know, immigration. It's like, bruh, these niggas ain't playing. These niggas are not playing, fool. Even the bad haired dude said, I don't care about competition. I'm about domination. And then you see these fools went to college together. They had this plan well thought out. So well thought out that these fools are in the military. They over here going against Google, taking over things that Google wouldn't. Google was like, we don't want that. They said, bring it here. Bring it here. So, yeah. Keep these things in mind as we continue this whole show. Continue.
And Vice President Vance. He was a major campaign donor to both. Then the stated goal of Doge is to streamline and combine government data, which is exactly what Palantir does.
But the ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other.
And obviously, Karp is loving it.
Disruption, in the end of the day, exposes things that aren't working. There'll be ups and downs. There's a revolution. Some people can get their heads cut off. Like, you know, it's like we're expecting to see really unexpected things and to win.
And what is winning, according to Palantir?
Bruh, did you hear what he just said? Let's run that back one more time. Homie is not playing out here, bruh. Everybody's worried about all these other things and, you know, interest rates going up and all this. And listen to these people. Look, it's gonna be some heads gonna get cut off. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it ain't gonna be mine. Yeah. It might be your kids. I mean, collateral damage. You know what I mean?
Disruption, in the end of the day, exposes things that aren't working. There'll be ups and downs. There's a revolution. Some people can get their heads cut off. Like, you know, it's like we're we're expecting to see really unexpected things and to win.
And what is winning, according to Palantir? This is CTO Shyam Sankar in 2021.
Turning to government, we continue to advance our mission of becoming the U.S. government's central operating system as we extend our footprint across defense, healthcare, and civilian agencies.
The government's operating system. They want everything to funnel through Palantir. Palantir already has contracts with the IRS, going through taxpayer data to save auditors time by finding the easiest audits to pursue. Now, Wired reports, DOGE will likely hire Palantir to create unified software for the entire IRS, a mega API that would allow anyone with access to view and possibly alter all IRS data in one place. That's all of your financial information. And they have multiple contracts with the Department of Health and Human Services, including nearly $100 million to support HHS's core administrative data and applications, to manage, ingest, and access data securely across business domains. HHS's core responsibility is Medicare and Medicaid. That's control over millions of Americans' health records and their access to healthcare. So what does it mean for one contractor to have all that power, data, and taxpayer money as profit, especially as AI gets involved?
As we kind of increasingly live in a simulated world, we lose touch with reality and the human decisions that matter, and we move closer towards governance by algorithm, not only made by decisions of automated artificial intelligence systems, which is a problem, but more importantly, subject to decisions made by the people who are influencing these AI systems and creating them in order to fulfill an agenda for whatever their profit-seeking or control-seeking objectives are.
ICE just paid Palantir tens of millions for complete target analysis of known populations. Just let this sink in, bruh. Let this sink in. They are not playing. You thought Enemy of the State was bad when they was trying to hunt down little old Will Smith? Bruh, they doing everybody like Will Smith.
And when I see DOGE kind of going into every agency and addressing the IT department first, I see it as an opportunity to try to change reality itself.
But so what? Why am I telling you all of this? Palantir has no problem being seen as Big Brother, as all-powerful, as lethal even.
We're at the brink of using these technologies potentially to run our government, to run our battlefields, and our personal lives. Using artificial intelligence as a sort of panacea solution across our federal departments, and especially when they're, again, wielded by people with a very distinct agenda, puts everyone at risk.
It almost feels like that's been the plan all along. Here's co-founder Peter Thiel in 2010 at Libertopia, a libertarian conference, speaking about tech companies and government.
The basic idea was that we could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
And here's Alex Karp in 2009 on civil liberties with regards to Palantir's work.
The central question, in my view, of civil liberties is how, it's not if the government has data, because let's assume the government has as much data as a health insurance company. It's how is that data being used? Is it being used in a way that's lawful? Meaning, do they have the right to use it? And is it being migrated into places it's not allowed to be used? We allow the enforcement of rules that government ought to enforce. And by the way, my experience is they want to enforce, or at the very least know they need to enforce. And if it's framed in that way, then you can have what is the ultimate Silicon Valley solution.
One co-founder openly.
In case you didn't understand what he said, what he said was, we gonna do what we want to do. And if you got a problem with it, you can just simply
shut up, bitch.
It's basically what he said in a nutshell. We gonna do what we gonna do.
wants to use the power of the tech industry to affect politics. The other wants his company to have oversight.
I want you to keep in mind what they just said right here. Check this out.
Use the power of the tech industry to affect a solution. One co-founder openly wants to use the power of the tech industry to affect politics.
So he wants to use the power of the tech industry to affect politics. Keep that in mind for what's coming up next.
The other wants his company to have oversight over how the government data they're paid to handle is used.
And the founders of Palantir will retain control in the company no matter what, through an obscure ownership structure. Their Class F shares grant them 49.99% of voting power, even if they collectively own as little as 6% of the company.
At the start of this journey, I was extremely afraid for the repercussions of this writing, of speaking out, but now I'm like, even more convinced that this is absolutely necessary.
We can't replace our current broken system with an even more broken one. And we can't let the worst people in Silicon Valley become our government.
It's not about whether you're actually at risk for speaking out or not. It's just the idea that somebody's watching you is enough to push people into silence.
Real quick, let me just go back to what he just said. Just real quick.
About whether you're actually at risk for speaking out or not. It's just the idea that somebody's watching you is enough to push people into silence.
And in case you were wondering what that silence was, let me help you remember.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
Yeah, he just couldn't be honest. He was like, oh. So this is the silence he's talking about. He already know what time it is. I don't know, bruh. The American people might be more powerful than Elon Musk, but I don't know, bruh. They've been working on this for well over 2 decades. They know what they doing. like let's just kind of here, let me just help you remember what we saw back here. Let me just enlighten thee for those that didn't see. Where's the, here we go. Look, let me show you how long they've been doing this, bruh. Look how long they've been working on these plans. They've been working on this for quite some time. I think they know what they're doing. The fact that they got all the way to the FBI, CIA, military, like, and you want to say the American people are stronger than Elon Musk? Well, yeah, you can say what you want, but clearly they know what they doing. They know what they doing. Exactly. Okay. All right. So you can scream and shout from the rooftops and all that, but bruh, these men are organized.
If you think we will get tired, then you have no idea who you're up against. This is our country. That is our future.
All right, man. How many times have people marched and screamed and yelled and hoopla? Like, look, bruh. Look. Let me show you something. These fools is beating on the drum. Ain't no drum finna hurt nobody. These fools out here ain't playing. They clearly made clear what their agenda is. And you over here beating on the drum that says hands off. Like, nah, bruh, they not trying to hear that. They like, look, we know it's gonna be some collateral damage. Heads gonna get chopped off. That's life. You know, whoever's yelling, they need to go ahead and take notes from Haiti. They need to go ask Haiti, hey, how do you guys organize and, you know, do what you guys do? You know, you guys have a history of doing this before when, you know, I think it was the British that invaded you guys in Haiti. You guys actually, you know, like, hey, can you give us some pointers? That's basically what they need to be doing at this point. Okay, well, that's it for the first video that we got. Jesus, shout out to them. Yeah. All right, so that's the first video that we got. That is called I Work for Palantir. It's by More Perfect Union. Shout out to them. Fair use. I should have mentioned that earlier. Hopefully they don't get me for this, but we got another video that we're going to go on to. Now that we got an understanding of what that is, now we're going to go to a previous video that I have done in the past, and it was something, it was the video that I had titled was called What is Technocracy? All right, it was called What is Technocracy? One day, you know, little old me, I be brainstorming and researching and going down rabbit holes and finding out a word and deep diving into the definition and, you know, just what I do. Anyway, so I came across this right here, and first we're gonna pull up this right here. Geesh, well, hey, homie's handsome right here, yo. Hold on.
Oh my God! Wow!
That is one fine fella right there. Good Lord. Look at that. Go look at, if you don't believe in God, you should not have to see this gentleman right here. Jesus Christ. Look at him. Handsome self. Anyway, so this video I did here is about what is technocracy, and I had came across this I had did this video in the past, and I want to bring it back because now that we watched that video, this should give you an understanding, and we're going to go again and understand something called technocracy, and we're going to find out exactly what technocracy is and see if with the understanding of technocracy blends in with what you just learned about the previous video. So let's go ahead and let this roll, and we're going to get a good understanding of technocracy right here. So here we go. That banner real quick. AI. So now we have this guy. So with everything that we talked about, everything that's been said, we got this gentleman right here. And to kind of go over what we just talked about with the economy, let's try to figure out what it would look like if we had to reimagine a world with humans doing 15-hour work weeks and having to reimagine a life of less taxes and meaning, and with AI predominantly in production. Because remember, the experts gave us their opinion. Well, let's hear out what this, not new, this thing has been a thing, but let's see if it sounds like something that we're gearing towards the future. Here we go.
Have you ever imagined a world run by scientists and engineers instead of politicians? Welcome to the concept of technocracy, but what exactly is it? Technocracy is a system of governance where decision makers are selected based on their expertise in science, engineering, and technical knowledge, rather than political affiliations or parliamentary skills. Think of it as governance by the most knowledgeable, not the most popular. The idea of technocracy gained traction in the 1930s during the Great Depression, when faith in traditional politicians was low and people believed that scientists and engineers could solve economic problems more efficiently. Pros of technocracy include rational decision-making, efficiency, and focus on sustainable development. However, cons could involve a lack of democratic input, potential disregard for individual or ethical concerns, and the challenge of deciding who qualifies as an expert. Does the idea of technocracy sound like a dream come true or a potential nightmare? Let us know.
Well, okay, so we got that right there. So we see that that's what a technocracy is. If you couldn't hear it, my apologies. The video might have been low. Turn up your stuff on your TV or whatever you're watching on your cell phone. However, but that's what a technocracy is. Basically something that's ran by experts, by who's most knowledgeable, not by who's most popular. Basically trying to throw the politicians off of their what is it called? Basically trying to shift the landscape of how the political system is. They're going to change it. A whole new political system is going to be put in place, and it's not going to be what we've known our whole life. And since that video was kind of low, I'm going to go in and actually dive in and show you the definition of this word so you can have a better understanding. Let me just fix my screen real quick because this crap just went haywire. So here we go right here. On Wikipedia, we're going to go ahead and dive in real quick. Let me go ahead and read this to you. So technocracy is a form of government which decision makers appoint knowledge experts in specific domains to provide them with advice, guidance in various areas of policy making responsibility. Technocracy follows largely in the tradition of other meritocracy or meritocratic theories, and it works best when the state exerts strong control over social and economic issues. This system is sometimes presented as explicitly contrasting with representative democracy. The notion that elected representatives should be the primary decision makers in government, despite the fact that technocracy does not imply eliminating elected representatives. In a technocracy, decision makers rely on individuals and institutions possessing specialized knowledge and data-based evidence rather than advisors with political affiliations or loyalty. So that right there should give you an idea of what a technocracy is. And if you paid attention to the video that we just went over, you're going to clearly see that basically that's what they was describing in a nutshell. Like, that's basically what they were saying in a nutshell, is basically they was moving into a form of technocracy. That's what they were saying. Where'd my banner go? No, that's not it. We still here. So yeah. So watching the previous video, we're heading into a technocracy. It already showed that they have the structure of, what is it? I think the structure of Palantir was set up where their split was, even if they own 6% of the company, they still get 49.9999999% of the votes when they decide to vote. So they're considered the experts, and it don't matter who the politics is, they're gonna still be dominant at the end of the day. If you don't like it, well, if you don't like it, let me just give you a reminder of, and I'm not trying to pick on this dude, but this was classic. If you don't like it, always keep this in mind.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Oh man, there's so many questions implicit in this. He asked them like 5 questions at once. Did you hear it? He asked them 5 different questions. Listen to all of them.
For the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many.
Boy, let me tell you. So, with that being said, that video is gold. That's a great video. He just couldn't say it. He's like, you care about humanity, right? If it survives. Hold on, I have a phone call coming. He just couldn't say it. It was so hard for him to tell the truth. He was like, man, if y'all only knew what we about to do to y'all, bruh. We sure is ready to implement. We about to unleash the Kraken on you fools. Basically what he said. So with that being said, so the technocracy is set up. The Palantir, the way their structure is set up that way. Now, granted, we can always go deeper down the rabbit hole and say, well, what about the families and all that stuff? But we're not going that deep. We're just going over what I've presented this show to you for. So now we're going to go into another video, which is going to actually speak on that particular individual who we just seen in the video. And this is going to be by the same people, More Perfect Union. Shout out, very used to you. We're going to watch this video, and this video is basically going to speak on how he got rich. And we're going to see how he got rich and kind of get a little back story on his come up, because we kind of see how a lot of people are tying together. You got him, you got Elon, you got dude with the bad hair. I forget his name. I didn't catch his name. The dude with the bad hair. But yeah, so but they've been doing this for years. You know what I mean? They, like I said, they're 2 decades in. They went to college together. They're very smart individuals. And again, they would be the experts in this technocracy that they're going to. So screw your democracy. These fools are going into a technocracy. So that's what they doing. So here's the next video that we got for the same segment. So this one, like I said, is how Peter Thiel got rich. And we're going to see exactly how all of this stuff flows. So let's go ahead and dive in and let's check this out. Here we go.
We all live in Peter Thiel's world. From business to technology to politics, he's used his massive wealth to shape society and control your life. And he wants even more power. In 2022, Thiel's investment in hand-picked far-right candidates, some of whom he nurtured for years, shaped the narrative for the entire election.
J.D. Vance will be the next Republican senator, a victory for Peter Thiel, who spent millions backing J.D. Vance.
But Thiel wasn't always on top of the world. In 1996, Peter Thiel was lost, a law school graduate and the author of a middling book on the dangers of diversity.
The problems of racism, sexism, other forms of oppression have been vastly exaggerated.
But then he found something: venture capital. In just a few short years, Thiel took $1 million investment from friends and family and created a massive amount of wealth for himself. Lots of tech founders say they're going to change the world. It's a big part of the VC shtick. But Thiel is different.
Our goal was nothing less than to replace the US dollar by creating a new digital currency.
For him, it wasn't about making a pitch sound good to investors. It was about using the philosophy of venture capital investing to forcibly shape the world to his liking. And the world Peter Thiel wants to create is chilling and rooted in VC philosophy. Monopolization, anti-democratic ideology, and absolute power for corporations over American working people.
Okay, so we're going to continue, but monopolization, we can just chalk that up to the last video that we saw as far as the Palantir and how they're going to be able to control everything. The anti-democratic ideology, which is the technocracy that I just schooled you on, that you see, and absolute power for corporations over people. And I'm not going to play it again. I'm just going to give you a little reminder. Let's continue.
This is The Classroom from More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at how Peter Thiel got rich, and what it means for the rest of us. Growing up, Peter Thiel was like a classic nerd trope, obsessed with D&D and sci-fi. Not just Star Wars and Star Trek, but the real stuff. Clark, Asimov, Heinlein. He was a chess star, and the head of the math team. Thiel's good grades and familial wealth earned him a spot at Stanford University, for undergrad and law school, where he got into his first venture, an alternative student newspaper aimed at conservatives, the Stanford Review. The publication was Thiel's response to what he perceived as a takeover by the politically correct. It seemed designed to offend, calling the school's sexual assault regulations too strict, excoriating diversity initiatives, and attacking anything that questioned Western culture. The Review was the beginning of Thiel's later network. Many of the students who wrote for or staffed the far-right newspaper would end up as Thiel's future business partners. Stanford is also where Thiel was introduced to philosopher and professor René Girard, who influenced Thiel's worldview. Girard wrote about how humans intently imitate each other, and how that holds society back. He specifically pointed to humans' competitive nature holding back scientific and technological progress. Thiel really connected with this viewpoint, and it fueled his belief that monopolies are actually a good thing.
If you're a startup, you want to get to monopoly. You're starting a new company, you want to get to monopoly.
Before graduating, Thiel wrote one last op-ed for the Review, where he said that the PC...
Whoops, sorry. Now he's saying that you want to get to monopoly. Now remember, the dude with the bad hair and the glasses, remember what he said. He said that, I ain't for competition. I'm for domination. Like, screw all this. So far, they line up. As far as he likes monopoly, the other guy likes domination. So mentally, they're on the same page. They are on the same page.
The alternative to greed is not personal fulfillment or happiness, but anger at and envy of people who are doing something more worthwhile. So what was more worthwhile to Thiel? The money business. Peter joined up with a few young engineers building a new way to send payment digitally, pretty revolutionary in the late 90s. The company started as Confinity, a play on infinite confidence. It briefly became X.com, as partner Elon Musk insisted, but eventually became PayPal. Staffing up, Thiel recruited some of his friends from the Stanford Review. The anarcho-capitalist views of that contingent were essential in the founding of PayPal, he explained at Libertopia 2010.
The initial founding vision was that we were going to use technology to change the whole world and basically overturn the monetary system of the world. We could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
You might think of PayPal today as a harmless mechanism for buying vintage movie posters on eBay, but the real goal was to completely destroy the global order of currency.
Well, we need to take over the world. We can't slow down now.
In a PayPal all-hands meeting in 2001, Thiel told staff, "The ability to move money fluidly and the erosion of the nation-state are closely related," as they were building a system to move money fluidly. But just a few months later, Thiel took the money and ran. PayPal went public with an IPO.
We were the first company in the US to file after 9/11.
Shortly after, PayPal sold to eBay. Thiel's 3.7% stake in the company was worth $57 million. What happens when you give a guy who wants to remake the world into one that follows his own twisted political vision $57 million? Well, it's not great. Look at his investment in Patrick Friedman, a young Google engineer, pickup artist blogger, amateur model, and grandson of Milton Friedman. Which, don't get us started on Milton Friedman. But Patrick had a big idea: build artificial islands at sea to house lawless libertarian utopias. Peter Thiel got wind of this.
Wow, look at that. And do you know what this reminds me of? All right, so this right here, if you ever played a game, it's called Metal Gear Solid 2. And this looks like the compound structure that you had to basically play the game on. The game was based on this. You had different, it was out in the middle of the ocean, and you had different, like points, different vantage points. So you have one over here on the left, basically north, east, south, and west. Just think, you had the part in the middle. The middle part looked like this, and then you had like 4 to 6 tentacles sticking out on each one with their each plot on it like this. If you go play the game Metal Gear Solid, this is what the map looks like. Metal Gear Solid 2, the one where you had to play with Raiden. Where they, back when Metal Gear Solid came out and Part 2 came out, you thought you were playing with Snake, but they duped you and gave you Raiden.
This and offered Friedman $500,000 to quit his job at Google and get started on the project. Thiel truly saw starting new nations as the same as starting companies. Really, he said it.
Just like there's a room for starting new companies, because not all existing companies solve all the problems we need to solve, I think there is also, there should also be some room for trying to start new countries, new governments.
But starting countries is difficult.
What if you start over in a new country, some African country with a few $billion and build it from the ground up?
We've looked at this. We've looked at all these possibilities. I think the basic challenges are that it's not that easy to get the country. You might have, you might not want to be stuck with the people you already have. And then actually, you know, the basic infrastructure may actually cost quite a bit more. You want to do something that works much more incrementally and organically.
Friedman eventually left the Seasteading Institute, and Thiel's involvement seemed over. But let's look at the last part of that quote. Do something that works much more incrementally and organically. After giving up on starting a brand new country, Thiel set about refashioning the country he already lived in. This is how Peter Thiel used the venture capital mindset to seize political power. Presumably to the chagrin of Thiel's friends at Libertopia, he immediately got involved with the CIA. His next company was Palantir, a surveillance and data tech outfit, and seed funding came from InQtel, a non-profit venture capital firm dedicated to funding projects that would be helpful.
Hey, there go homie with the hair. There's homie with the hair down there. There he is. Look at, there he is. I can tell that hairdo. I see it anywhere. There you are.
To the CIA. The firm isn't officially run by.
So Palantir was rescued by referral to InQtel, the CIA's venture arm. Oh, wow.
Dedicated to funding projects that would be helpful to the CIA. The firm isn't officially run by the CIA, but there is a revolving door of staff between the two, and the firm is colloquially referred to as the CIA's private equity firm. Palantir eventually did help the CIA, and the FBI, and the CDC, and a host of other governmental organizations that would have gotten Thiel booed right out of Libertopia. But to Thiel, it didn't matter that he didn't live in some anarcho-capitalist utopia, because he was building his own using his enormous wealth. Thiel exploited systems within the existing libertarian but only for billionaires system, like his tax trick. ProPublica unveiled in 2021 that much of Thiel's wealth is held in a Roth IRA, a type of tax-free investment fund meant for retirement. The amount you're allowed to contribute is capped at a few $1,000s a year. But in 1999, Thiel turned $2,000 he had in his account into PayPal stock, an investment which paid off. When Thiel was the first large
Bruh took $2,000, put it into PayPal stock. Using the stock deals unavailable to most people. All right, well, that's the advantage. Thiel has taken a retirement account worth less than $2,000 in 1999 and spun it into $5 billion windfall. Bruh, to put that into perspective, here's how much the average Roth was worth at the end of 2018. We'll just say $39,000. Jesus.
Into PayPal stock, an investment which paid off.
Let's read this real quick. Sorry. Up here. He says, from what we got, he's bankrolled a group that promotes building floating nations that would impose no compulsory income tax. But Thiel doesn't need a man-made island to avoid paying taxes. He has something just as effective, a Roth individual retirement account. Over the last 20 years, Thiel has quietly turned his Roth IRA, a humdrum retirement vehicle intended to spur Americans to save for their golden years, into a gargantuan tax-exempt piggy bank. Confidential IRS data shows, using stock deals unavailable to most people, he's taken his retirement account worth less than $2,000 and spun it into $5 billion. Jesus.
$2,000 he had in his account into PayPal stock, an investment which paid off. When Thiel was the first large investor in Facebook, that $500,000 angel investment, immortalized by this guy who looks nothing like Thiel in the social network, was just a restructuring of his tax-free retirement fund. He can eventually withdraw the over $5 billion in the account tax-free. The average IRA has 0.0000008% of that. Thiel's Libertopia friends have to pay high taxes, but Thiel won't on a large portion of his wealth. Then there's litigation financing. The ultra-rich can actually gamble on court cases. They fund legal fees for a lawsuit, then take a percentage of the winnings if they pick the right side.
So if you've ever been in a situation, and you're going to hear this a lot from people who's had to deal with family court and alimony and child support or anything like that, one thing you're always going to learn, because you have these in spaces right now where you have the man versus woman spaces, you have your MGTOWs, and you have your well, we'll just call it the MGTOW. And one thing that they learned that a lot of men end up saying, ones who've actually been through something, not the ones who use data and statistics and don't have no kids or never been married, not those guys. Those guys are just rehashing, and women who do the same thing. All they're doing is rehashing stuff. They've never been married, don't have kids. They're just rehashing stats and statistics and data, but never been through the fire. One thing that you will always learn that they always say is stay out of court. And right now, what this guy just mentioned, this right here, he just mentioned that you can bet on litigations and profit on litigations. I mean, you want to stay out of court more than ever.
Topia friends have to pay high taxes, but Thiel won't on a large portion of his wealth. Then there's litigation financing. The ultra-rich can actually gamble on court cases. They fund legal fees for a lawsuit, then take a percentage of the winnings if they pick the right side. It's completely legal, and Thiel used it to silence free speech. After Gawker, an online news and blogging outlet, outed Thiel as gay, he set his eyes on destroying them. When Gawker posted a shadily acquired sex tape of wrestler Hulk Hogan, Thiel bankrolled Hogan's lawsuit against the publication. Gawker was bankrupted, and Thiel made a profit. Thiel uses his inordinate wealth and investment principles to get richer, to destroy the free speech of others, and to live in his own libertarian paradise. Another big investment area is in ideas. Pretty chilling ones. Let's look at the Dark Enlightenment movement, which Kortz calls an obscure neo-fascist philosophy, and media researcher David Columbia calls the worship of corporate power, to the extent that corporate power becomes the only power in the world. One of the movement's loudest voices is blogger Curtis Yarvin. Thiel has invested heavily in Yarvin startups. basically funding a big portion of the Dark Enlightenment movement. And it's obvious the movement mirrors Thiel's beliefs: complete corporate control. And two of his assets, long-term investments he's been nurturing for years, could help that goal. 2022 Senate candidates J.D. Vance and Blake Masters. Both of them worked for Thiel firms, and he's been bolstering their careers this whole time, supporting their projects along the way. Vance and Masters are long-term Thiel investments.
As an investor entrepreneur, I've always tried to be contrarian, to go against the crowd, to identify opportunities that in places where people were not looking.
And they're just two of the far-right candidates Thiel invested in 2022. He's been donating big for years in order to further his political goal: a corporate-ruled utopia for billionaires. He's also investing in tech companies that will help his dark political project, like Rumble, a free speech-focused social network populated almost entirely by the far right. So,
hey, well, that's one of the sites we are live on right now. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. So, hey, hop on Rumble and see the show from Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. Yeah, let's go.
if Thiel is treating politics like investing, what can his investment strategies teach us about what's to come? Well, the guy loves monopolies.
I have a single idée fixe that I'm completely obsessed with on the business side, which is that if you're starting a company, if you're the founder, entrepreneur starting a company, you always want to aim for monopoly, and you want to always avoid competition. And so, hence, competition is for losers. Something we'll be talking about today.
What does it mean when a nation is ruled by a monopoly? One single all-powerful entity? Well, let's just say it's not a democracy.
And to anybody that's always crying about people who are always crying about, you know, like being, if you are a person, I can say people, but if you are a person that's always crying about, you know, being oppressed and not teaching us the game and not giving us, you know, how things are and why things work against here is your answer. Your answer is right here.
Something we'll be talking about today.
There's your answer. Competition is for losers. If you ever wonder why things are so hard for you in your situation, it's because this is how people play the game. They's like, I ain't about to let you I ain't making no competition for myself. I ain't telling you jack. You don't worry about it. Figure it out. And if you do figure it out, I'm going to try to squash you on your way up.
What does it mean when a nation is ruled by a monopoly? One single all-powerful entity? Well, let's just say it's not a democracy.
There should also be some room for trying to start new countries.
And that country would have a complete lack of accountability for the ultra-rich.
Get rid of government regulation of technology. Allow us to build nuclear power, allow us to, you know, go into space, have supersonic planes again, allow us to get rid of the FDA.
Peter Thiel doesn't need to build an island to have his libertarian dreamland. He can build it right here in America. And he already is. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be covering the stories of other...
Okay, so there's that. Shout out to, what is your guys' names? More Perfect Union. Shout out to y'all. Round of applause. Yes. Okay, so now we have those things put into perspective, and I don't mean to pick on Mr. Thiel at all. It's just that when you kind of, when I was doing these videos and stuff, he was the main one. He was the first one I came across, so I kind of like used him as the starting point, I guess I could say. That's the best way to say it. He was a starting point. So then, you know, but when you look at the past videos, you realize that everybody is all intertwined. They're all connected. They're all friends. They're all buddies. They know what they're doing. The one, you know, one chooses finance. Another one chooses technology, well, basically fintech. We'll just call it what it is. It's fintech, financial technology, basically is what's going on. But it's a group, and it really doesn't take much. If that's one thing that you could take away from all this, it don't take much. A group or collective of 5 to 10 brains is all it takes. It's all it really takes to dominate everything. But we're going to also dive into this. So the next thing that we have here is we're going to look a little bit deeper into Peter Thiel's personal life. And we're going to look into basically his philosophy and mindset to see exactly what it is on how the thought process of what really going on. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper, and let me show you what I mean. All right. So we're going to good old Wikipedia. All right. And what we have right here is we have this. So we're going to start right here. So we have Mr. Till was married to his longtime partner, Matt. I can't say his last name. I'm going to say Dan Z. In October 2027. So Dan Z started his career in investment banking at the Bank of America Securities. By 2007, when they were dating, Dan Z was vice president of BlackRock. By 2021, he was the chairman of Bridgetown 1 and 2 and sponsored by Till Capital and Richard Lee's Pacific Century Group. Cool. Sam Altman also sat on that board. He also participated in Till's other enterprises that are related to the family of Li Ka-shing, such as the Malta-based EUM. All right, so we got Sam Altman. If you know anything about Sam Altman, he's the AI guy. So now we have finance, we have tech and AI. So we got all these things put together, but all these people are fintech dominating the top. All right, so we have Dan Z works as head of private investments at Till Capital with a primary focus on North America and Asia. So Till and Dan Z, they have 2 children. All right, I'm not going to go too much in there, but they got 2 daughters. They're surrogates. Till was also in a long-term relationship with Jeff Thomas, a social media influencer from the onset of the strong flu-19 pandemic until Thompson's sudden death in March of 2023. All right, we don't know how that goes. So then we have religious views. All right, here we go. So this will be the last little area. So Till is a self-described Christian and a promoter of, I can't say this name, Rene Girard's Christian anthropology. He grew up in an evangelical household, but as of 2011, he described his religious belief as somewhat heterodox, stating, I believe Christianity is true, but I don't sort of feel a compelling need to convince other people of that. Till has participated in Veritas Forum events with the noted theologian N.T. Wright discussing religion, politics, and technology. Okay, here we go. And this is the last part. During his time at Stanford University, Till attended a lecture given by Rene Girard. Girard is a Catholic. He explained the role of sacrifice and the scapegoat mechanism in resolving social conflict, which appealed to Till as it offered basis for his Christian faith without the fundamentalism of his parents. Okay, so right here, Till is a self-described Christian and a promoter of Rene Girard. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this gentleman here, right here. So here we go. We have him here, Mr. Rene Girard. All right, so we got this guy here. So Till is a promoter of this ideology. Well, let's just dive in and read what the ideology is all about, shall we? We shall. All right. So he's a French-American historian, literacy critic, and philosopher of social science whose work belonged to the tradition of philosophical anthropology. Girard was the author of nearly 30 books, with his writings spanning many academic domains. Although the reception of his work is different in each of these areas, there is a growing body of secondary literature on his work and his influence on disciplines such as literary criticism, critical theory, anthropology, theology, methodology, sociology, economics, cultural studies, and philosophy. All right, so here we go. We're diving deep. Girard's main contribution to philosophy, and in turn to other disciplines, was in the psychology of desire. Desire, all right? Desire. If you know, you know. Girard claimed that human desire functions intimatively, or mimetically. Oh man, I don't know that word. Mimetically, rather than arising as the spontaneous byproduct of human individuality, as much as theoretically psychology had assumed. Girard proposed that human development proceeds triangularly from a model of desire that indicates some object of desire as desirable by desiring it themselves. So we copy this desire for the object of model and appropriate as our own, most often without recognizing that the source of this desire comes from another apart from ourselves, completing the triangle of mimetic desire. I hope I'm saying that word right. This process of appropriation of desire includes, but is not limited to, identity formation, the transmission of knowledge and social norms, the material aspirations which all have their origin in copying the desire of others who we take consciously or did I say consciously? That is consciously, consciously or consciously or unconsciously as models for desire. The second major proportion of the mimetic theory proceeds from considering the consequences of the mimetic nature of desire as it relates to human origins and anthropology. The mimetic nature of desires allows for the mimetic nature of desires allows for the anthropological success of human beings through social learning, but it also is laden with potential for violent escalation. If the subject desires an object simply because another subject desires it, then their desires are bound to converge on the same object. If these objects cannot be easily shared, whether it's food, mates, territories, prestige, and status, etc., then the subjects are bound to come into mimetically intensifying conflict over these objects. The simplest solution to this problem of violence for early human communities was to polarize blame and hostility onto one member of the group who would be killed and interpreted as the source of conflict and hostility within the group. The transition from the violent conflict of all against all would be transformed into the unifying and pacifying violence of all except one, whose death would reconcile the community together. The victim, who was persecuted as the source of disorder, would then become venerated as the source of order and meaning for the community and seen as a god. This process of engendering and making possible human community through arbitrary victimization is called within mimic theory the scapegoat mechanism. And in the last part, eventually the scapegoat mechanism would be exposed within the biblical text, which categorically reoriented the position of the divinity to be the side of the victim as opposed to that of the persecuting community. Gerard argues that all other myths, such as Romulus and Remus, for example, are written and constructed from the point of view of the community whose legitimacy depends on the guilt of the victim in order to be brought together as a unified community. Once the relative innocence of the victim is exposed, the scapegoat mechanism is no longer able to function as a vehicle for generating unity and peace. The categorical moral innocence of Christ therefore serves to reveal the scapegoating mechanism in Scripture, thus enabling the possibility that humanity might overcome it by learning to discern its continued presence in our interactions today. Okay, let me give myself a round of applause for all that reading. Whew. That was a handful. Jesus. I don't want to say a mouthful because that sounds like pause. All right. So now that we got that into consideration, hopefully you guys understood what I read. Reading with Daniel, that was a lot to read, but just wanted to dive in a little bit and give you a better understanding of what's going on and how deep the philosophy and mindset goes. And they're all intertwined. They're all, they're all friends with each other. Everybody is on the same page mentally. You know what I mean? We saw that they're college buddies, they grew up together. They shot pool with, went to food with, shot school with, out there, selling that, pushing whole existence depending on the game. When Jack come through, feel like somebody, okay, you get the point. If you know, you know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But that's the ideology and philosophy that's going on here. That's what they're pushing for. That's what they see. That's how they're going with it. That's their belief system. So now that we got that understanding out of the way, we're going to look into another video and dive a little bit deeper into the situation here. And again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but he happens to be the main character for this video, but I tried to tie everybody in just to give you a good understanding. So hopefully you understand. So now this one is going to call, and you know what? I think this one should tie us in. Should this one tie us into the AI segment of the show? You know what? We're going to tie this into the AI segment of the show, just cause. We're going to tie it into the AI segment of the show. So we're going to go ahead and change the banner real quick, and our little sexy miss is going to guide us into the AI portion of the show. So here we go.
Welcome to the AI segment of the show. Enjoy.
Yeah, baby, I'm going to enjoy you. Wait till I find you, boy. I'm going to find you. Yes, I am. It's gonna be like Leon Nelson in Taken. I'm being like, I know who you are. I know where you are. And when I find you, it's going to be Okay. I'm sorry. Anyway. Let's get to it. I'm sorry. I got carried away. All right. AI is getting really good. AI is getting really, really good. They're about to take the prawn industry to a whole new level, bruh. A whole new level. All right. Anyway. Focus. All right, so here we go. So we're going into the next segment of the show, which is the AI portion of the show, and we're going to look at a video. It's by Cap Chatfield. I think I said that right, Cap Chatfield. He titles this video, "The Antichrist System is Already Here." And as we are going to see, we have Mr. Thiel as the face of this video, which I'm not picking on him. I'm just, presenting my PowerPoint presentation, I guess you can say, without the PowerPoint, my presentation, and putting it together all at once. So we're going to look at this video, and we're going to exactly see if the Antichrist system is here on the AI portion of the show. So without further ado, Mr. Cap, stop the cap, take it away.
Peter Thiel, the Antichrist. We're going to cover this today because a lot of people all over the internet are asking this question, especially after this interview came out where he openly talked about transhumanism, and he kind of hinted at the fact that he's not totally against the idea of depopulating the globe. Yes, we're going to get into that in a little bit. And then also asking, when the interviewer asked him if he might be actually creating the very system that the Antichrist is going to take and use to dominate the world, his response, it's going to surprise you. So I feel like I should talk about this because the Bible has so much to say about.
Is it just me, or does this dude look like AI? I had seen piece of this, and I was just like, this dude looks AI. I don't think Cap Chatfield is real. I think Cap Chatfield might just be an AI character. I don't know. But I think I digress. Let's just keep going.
About the Antichrist, who is going to dominate the entire world. And there's some details about this guy that line up in a pretty creepy way. And then there's some other things in the Bible that a lot of people are not talking about. And if you care about this issue, you need to understand what the Bible says that a lot of people aren't talking about. So make sure you stick around to the end because this video is really going to help you out. But let's start with kind of breaking down who this guy is. Who is he? Peter Thiel. He's the co-founder of PayPal, the big, payment processing company. I'm sure you're aware of it. He's a co-founder of Palantir. It's another big data software company working directly with the government. And one of the things that they're doing, which is pretty crazy, is they're developing this massive surveillance system across the country with which they're using for a lot of these ICE raids and deportations. More on that in a little bit. He's been doing a lot of other things with technology, but the closeness that he has to the federal government with his company, especially with their surveillance component, is pretty creepy. Again, more on that in a little bit. But let's take it back to an earlier conversation that he had a little while ago, just maybe a couple months ago, where he was talking openly about the Antichrist. And this is what he said. He said the Antichrist will talk about Armageddon all the time. He'll scare people, then offer to save them. Watch what he says in this interview.
We have the mechanisms that would make world government.
YouTube hit me with another ad. Boy, oh boy, when we get this premium, boy, y'all gonna be happy. Y'all gonna be like, Daniel, it's about time you got that premium. I'm working towards it. We gonna get the premium. We gonna get it. I promise. Just bear with me. Hang tough, crowd. Hang tough. Here we go.
Gigantic global surveillance state is have the mechanisms that would make world government. A gigantic global surveillance state is plausible.
That seems plausible too. And then I think, again, to come back to the Soloviev-Benson plot hole, on its own, they both seem not that desirable. Why would we have a crazy surveillance state? Why would we, why would we do this? But if you're scared enough of these things, that's the weapon. And this is sort of where my speculative thesis is that if the Antichrist were to come to power, it would be by talking about Armageddon all the time. And
Peter Thiel, the Antichrist would talk about Armageddon all the time. He'd scare people and then offer to save them.
Yes, it's the 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety. And so, which is nothing wrong with peace and safety, but you have to sort of imagine that it resonates very differently in a world where the stakes are so absolute, where the stakes are so extreme, where the alternative to peace and safety is, Armageddon and the destruction of all things. And then,
so this is where it gets kind of crazy, because he's been talking about this a lot and he's been warning about what's going on a lot. But then he's been doing some other things behind the scenes that make me ask the question, like, are you helping create all this stuff with the technology that you're building? I mean, let me know what you think in the comments if you know anything about this. But
Mr. Cap, even though your video came out before mine, I just put together a compelling I don't know the word to say, but I've just put together a compelling little storyline put together. And as you can see, everybody's intertwined on this. They all intertwined together, sir. So you're gonna see.
It's like, and by the way, like, you might be thinking, oh, Cap, you're talking about this stuff a lot too. Well, I'm just trying to share what the Bible says. And I'm going to point you to areas of the Bible that not a lot of people are talking about with all this fear and all this stuff going on. So we want to make sure that stick around to the end, because it'll make more sense and it'll give you a lot of clarity too about what's going on and how to move forward. But this is the scripture that he was referring to. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. It says, "For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape." This is talking about the end times and creating the rise of the Antichrist. Who's the Antichrist? This is the Bible, what the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. "The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders." Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, but people have thought that there were different types of, Antichrist all throughout human history. Who's to say that this is actually the Antichrist? People thought it was always the Antichrist, this guy or that guy. And by the way, they might have been right. They might have been right, actually. And here's the point. Actually, he kind of talks about it here. So let's listen to more to what he has to say.
And that's where peace and safety gets you way more than.
Now, real quick, I want to say, whoops, hold on. You can't even see me. But one thing I do want to say is that when it comes to the speak of the Antichrist and what he's talking about, the way he's putting it, I'm going to say that it seems like, there's been multiple Antichrists that's been spoken of in the Bible and just been spoken of, period. But it's more like, to me, in my opinion, leading up to now, it's like a force. You know what I mean? Like it's like a collective group of individuals who are just pushing it. That's really what it is at the end of the day. Just the same way as it would be a collective group of individuals pushing positivity or consciousness in the righteous way. You know what I mean? So. And then at the end of the day, it leads to a head. So, you could have a bunch of different quote unquote Antichrist, but it could have been a bunch of Antichrist pushing towards what leads to a head, and vice versa on the other side, on the righteous side. But let's continue. Here we go.
Than it would have in 1750.
Rene Girard, in I Saw Satan Fall Like Lightning, one of his books, the Antichrist boasts of bringing to human beings the peace and tolerance that Christianity promised but has failed to deliver.
There are probably, I think there are all these elements where it's downstream from Christianity. You can think of, the poor shall inherit the earth, Sermon on the Mount. Marxist theory is we're going to be more Christian, we're going to accelerate it, we're going to bring it about faster. So there is, the Antichrist probably presents as a great humanitarian, as a great, it's redistributive, it's as an extremely great philanthropist, as an effective altruist, all of those kinds of things. And And these things are not, simply anti-Christian, but it is always when they get overly combined with state power that something is very wrong. There are sort of ways Christ wants to unify the world. You have the parable of the Good Samaritan, where you should take care of people even if you're not related to them, and it's good to act like the Good Samaritan and to take care of people who are not just in your family or tribe or country. But then if you force everyone to be a Good Samaritan and you force a borderless world, it's somehow adjacent.
Okay, so before Cap starts talking, remember when I just went over this right here? Y'all remember this right here? I just went over this, and look who this is. Bam, they're talking about Rene Girard. That's who they're speaking about. I just read both these things to you. I tried to get you to understand. His religious belief, Thiel is a self-described Christian, promoter of Rene Girard, a Christian anthropology, okay? We just clearly went over this. I read all of this, and this is Rene Girard's idea. He describes his religious belief as somewhat heterodox, stating, I believe in Christianity is true, but I don't sort of feel compelling the need to convince other people of that. So this is, who they're talking about. So that's why I wanted to go over these people and the ideologies and stuff before we got here so we could put it all together. Okay. So Cap, go ahead and take it away, buddy.
There's a lot of people who acted that way throughout human history who said, we're going to force people to share everything, and that's how we're going to create a utopia and peace on earth. You have communists, you have emperors who did this sort of stuff. And the Bible actually talks about this in 1 John. It says in 1 John chapter 2, verse 18, little children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, performing all these sorts of things, right? Have you seen it? Have you seen it in human history? By which we know that it is the last hour. There's an interesting theory about having all these little Antichrists before the capital A Antichrist comes. It's almost as if the devil, not knowing when Jesus is going to return, is trying to have some plan ready, some person prepared who fits everything that the Antichrist is supposed to be and, prepares, hopefully for the moment when they're supposed to take the stage. So we're seeing these people all over the place. But now this is where it gets particularly interesting about Peter Thiel, because Peter Thiel, he sounds like he's warning everybody of things that a normal pastor would be warning people about, right? But then in this interview, it starts to take a pretty ugly turn. It makes you wonder, whose side are you really on with this whole conversation about the...
Hey, so y'all recognize this video, right? I've already cracked up. This is the same video this is the same video I've been showing you. It's the same interview. It's the same one. So we knew we have a pretty good idea what side he on.
Antichrist. Truly. Let's listen to this interview clip from the New York Times.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari.
Well, buddy, if you haven't been watching the show, and he hasn't, because his interview came before my live stream, how are you gonna get the world to, what do you say, submit to permanent authoritarian rule? Well, as we saw in the previous videos, he believes in monopoly. The guy with the funny hair, he believes in domination. He's like, look, if we got to chop some heads off, if we got to unalive some kids, collateral damage, not my bad, but we got an agenda to fulfill. So like, that's how they gonna get to where they gonna get to. So yeah, there's that. But let's continue. Here we go. Oh wait, let me turn on the sound and let's continue.
To permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe, but
you can tell he's really having a hard time answering that question, because it's like, wait a second. And I'm not, hey, by the way, if I were to sit across from Peter Thiel, I would have nothing bad to say about him as far as like, hey, creating great companies and doing big things, awesome. It doesn't look really good, though, when someone's asking a question about, could you possibly be creating the very technology that you're warning everybody about? Could you possibly be doing the very thing here when you say, oh, peace and safety, this technology is for your good, and then sudden destruction comes upon everybody when the surveillance state is created? Let me tell you more about Palantir and why this is a little concerning. So Palantir, this is the company. You can see on their website, AI-powered automation for every decision. This is the company that is working directly with the U.S. government, directly with militaries, directly with law enforcement, and directly with ICE, okay? And this company specifically pull in massive data streams to track, predict, and surveil all these things happening in the population, okay? Now, this reminds me of an area of scripture, specifically where it says in Revelation chapter 13, where it talks about the mark of the beast, where it says, he, meaning the Antichrist, causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Which is interesting, because you have this giant payment processing company, a digital payment processing company called PayPal. And then you have a guy who's also creating a company that's working and creating all of these surveillance technologies being used by the military and law enforcement and ICE. And what happens when you put those two things together? When you have people who are not willing to take what the mark of the beast is, which is your only way to buy and sell, in other words, to participate in the economy. How are you going to control that? Well, you're going to probably control that through some sort of digital payment processor or some sort of digital banking. Once it's like some sort of global central banking system that's done digitally. Well, then how do you make sure that people are actually doing this thing and taking the mark and not trying to come around side the mark and, do business any other way? Well, you'll probably have to put a massive surveillance system in place, right? Are you guys seeing this? Are you guys seeing how this connects? Well, this is something that all of the globalists have been working on for the longest time. This isn't secret. It's been in the Bible. Like God has been trying to warn us about this, but a lot of the times we don't realize we're actually funding this stuff, and
the Bible is about debt. Everything was based on being in debt. That's why Jesus did not operate in the Pharisee shenanigans. Because this is what they were doing in the end. He's like, I don't want to be a part of y'all stuff. Quit asking me questions. I can't be persecuted under y'all laws. I'm not a part of man-made laws. I operate privately outside of that. I'm not under that. But let's continue.
We're actually promoting this stuff, and we're partnering with this stuff. And part of it we can't fully escape from because of the world that we live in. But there are some things that we can do. One of the things we can do, by the way, is we can actually change up our shopping. So you've probably heard me talk about this before, but one thing that you can do, if you're like, hey, how can I practically defund this massive globalist agenda, this Antichrist agenda that's taken over the entire world? What could I do? Well, you could simply make a decision of, what if you switch some of the shopping that you're already doing, some of the money that you're already giving away, instead of giving it to these big, massive conglomerate organizations, what if you bought from smaller companies? What if you bought from Made in America? What if instead of giving money to all these big billionaires, these big corporate companies, what if you bought Made in America and supported conservative values, and also, by the way, bought products that were non-toxic? Because all these other companies are creating products that are just totally, poisoning you and toxifying your home. Well, here's what I want to invite you into. This is something that me and my family and our team developed. It's called Switch with Cap. And what we're doing is we're simply partnering with a made in America manufacturer that's promoting conservative, common sense. Actually, clicked all, and if you subscribe, interesting details.
Let's get back.
I want to keep going.
Don't be trying to sell us on nothing, Cappy. You snuck that in there. Stick to the message, bro. Stick to the message. I like how you stuck that business in there, but stick to the message, pimping.
Because there's more. There's more things here that not a lot of people are considering. One of the most interesting details about the Palantir company. Okay, so check this out. Palantir. This is creepy. Palantir is actually named after something in a movie. Are you familiar with the movie Lord of the Rings? So in the movie Lord of the Rings, you have Gandalf the Grey. He's this wizard. He's a good wizard. And he's like one of the heroes of the story, but he has basically like an arch nemesis. I think his name is Saruman. And Saruman is this wizard who's dressed in white, and he's evil, and he's got this tool. This tool is actually this all-seeing eye. And this all-seeing eye allows him to basically surveil the entire land and basically get data and intel about where all the hobbits are as they're trying to take this ring and throw it in the Ring of Mordor so they can save Middle Earth or whatever it's called. And he's basically able to look in this orb and observe everybody for this crazy, dare I say, demonic purpose. Well, here's what that little eye tool is actually called.
Let's talk salary.
That is correct. Yes, that is what it is called. And if you ever seen Lord of the Rings, man, it is a long series. I mean, not series, but like a movie, because it's like the first movie is like 2 to 3 hours, then the second movie is like 3 to 4 hours, and the third, and it all ties together like just one long movie. So you got to have some time to invest into watching Lord of the Rings, and yeah. I haven't even invested to watch all of it. I watched some of it, but then it's just like exhausting. But anyway, when you put it all together, it's really interesting when you see how Lord of the Rings ties into what they are basically trying to implement. Well, not trying, going to implement. But let's continue.
That little ball in Lord of the Rings with their Saruman right there, that little ball is called a Palantir. The word is basically around that word Palantir. That's where they got the name of the company from. Is it just poetic? Or is there a spirit behind what they're doing that they might not even be aware of, but they're partnering with a spirit that is trying to put like this entire country and this entire globe under this one world government, one world currency, one world religion, that, hey, this isn't conspiracy. If you believe in the Bible, this is what the word of God says is going to happen. And so when we look at all these things, we should definitely be raising an eyebrow. But this is where it gets particularly interesting, okay? Because there's another verse in the Bible specifically about the Antichrist and how he's going to behave. And I think this is something that you might want to pay attention to, especially regarding Peter Thiel. It says in Daniel 11, verse 37, he shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall exalt himself above them all. So this guy is interesting because if you look at his history, he actually grew up, I believe, in a conservative Lutheran household. And he hasn't publicly denied the faith, but he also hasn't publicly professed his faith. And he's also living a godless lifestyle. So is he a guy who doesn't regard the God of his fathers? And then this part's kind of interesting, nor the desire of women. That means that this person, the Antichrist, is either going to be asexual or homosexual.
Well, sir, let me help you out here. I'll show you. We just talked about that, Cap. Let me help you out here. Oh, where is it? There we go. Thiel married his longtime partner, Matt Dan Z. There's your answer. And if we go down further, Thiel and Dan Z have 2 young daughters. born through a surrogate. So there's your answer to that one, Mr. Cap. I got you, buddy. I got you on that one. So there's that answer to that. Now, as far as his, whoops, wrong video. And as far as his background goes, you know, we'll just kind of slide on up to here. Can we go all the way up to the top? Where is it? It's gonna take us a minute because there's a lot going on up in here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Sheesh, there he goes. There he goes. There he goes. All right. Let's see. So father was from, well, they were from West Germany. You know, chemical engineer was his father. We don't really get much about their faith, so I don't go too deep into the faith. So we don't have that part right there. But what we do have is what I had down here already was this right here. His religious view. Thiel is a self-described Christian and a promoter of Rene Girard's Christian anthropology, which and then I did read thoroughly that this is Girard's, basically his view on Christianity. He doesn't believe in having to tell anybody about Christianity, but this is how he sees it. And I don't want to read over this thing all over again, but just rewind the video if you want me to read this whole thing over to you again. So Cap, I got you, buddy. I'm right behind you on that, but let's continue this video.
A way that you can interpret this. And Peter Thiel is actually married, quote unquote, to a man. I put it in quotes because from God's perspective, it's not exactly marriage. But I'm just looking at these things and I'm like, okay, handful of things check out here. I'm not saying, I don't want, hey, by the way, as you watch this video, I'm not telling you to go berate anybody. This is a guy you got to pray for. I don't even know where he's at personally. Like, if he's too far gone, I hope not. I pray that God, you know, brings him to.
The eyes, Chico. Look at the eyes don't lie, Chico. The eyes don't lie, Chico. Look at the eyes, Chico. They don't lie. They don't lie. But let's continue. Let's continue.
To his senses, because it sounds like when you watch this interview that he's kind of shocked at some of the parallels. He might not even realize that as he's been rejecting God and God's best for his life, that he's actually been given over to darkness. He's actually been given over to a way that seems right to a man, which leads to destruction. And
that's what the gist of Lord of the Rings was about. You remember in Lord of the Rings, right? If you had that ring, that ring would possess you. Not the Palantir ball, but the ring. There was a ring that movie was about. If you got that ring, it would possess you, and it always turned people to do evil except for one person who it didn't turn over evil, and we'll figure out why that was. But let's continue.
People like this are people that Jesus paid a high price for on the cross. And unfortunately, people like this were people like me before I knew Jesus, were enslaved by the devil, doing his will and not even realizing it. So if you watch this channel, if you take anything that's from this video as far as hating on a guy like this and picketing a guy like this, that's not the heart. You can go find another channel. That's not what I'm about. I'm about making disciples. I'm about seeking and saving those who are lost, but I'm also about teaching the word. And when I see these parallels, I just think, man, it's kind of interesting.
As a therapist myself, I know how important it is to be able to have someone that you can talk.
Oh no, not a therapist, not a therapist. Jesus, we don't want to hear about you being a therapist, buddy. You don't heal anybody. No offense, buddy. Sorry. Just, you know, I'm just not a therapy guy. I'm a fitness guy, and that's the therapy that you need. But let's continue this video because, also, there was something I wanted to point out. To you guys. We have to point this out. Cap, if you're listening, I just want to point this out to you as well. When we go back over here to Mr. Rene Girard or whatever it is, this is one thing I need to point out to you right here. So what we had here was the understanding of the functions of Girard claimed that the human desire functionally imitatively or mimetically, rather than arising as the spontaneous byproduct of human individuality as much of a theoretical psychology had assumed. Girard proposed that human development proceeds triangulate from a model of desire that indicates some object of desire as desirable by desiring it themselves. Now, if you know anything about desire, let me point this to you right here. If you know anything about this TV show, let's see. this TV show right here, which I watched this thing from beginning to end. Let me not ruin this real quick. So this TV show, I watched every single episode. I actually enjoyed this TV show a whole lot. So I'm guilty for watching this whole thing, but it was good. It was actually really, 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 really good. So this show right here was the TV show that reminds me of this, what he's talking about right here. When you talk about desire, right here, okay? Desire, term like wanting, wishing, longing, or craving, a great variety of whatever. Yes. So yeah, that TV show right there, where'd it go? This TV show right here, Lucifer. If you ever watched this TV show, he was cool, kind, charismatic, well put together, well spoken. He worked alongside a detective who he had a thing for. But if you always remember, whenever he wanted to, what was this thing? He put you in a trance, but when he put you in a trance, and he was never like, he didn't come off as evil, although his mindset was. Before he put you in a trance, he would ask you, what do you desire? And when he asked you what you desired, it's like you succumb to his will and you would basically tell on yourself. And then that's how he would get you, through your desires. So keep that in mind. But anyway, Cap, let's continue.
Crazy. But I want to leave you with a final note, because before we close the video, I mean, the last thing I want to do is have you leave with fear, because that's not God's heart for you. I'm not trying to create this content just to kind of make you, give you fear, PORN, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you an understanding of what's happening so that you can know what time it is, y'all. And so you can do what God tells us to do in these days. So here's what I want you to do. Step number 1, if you want to pass the test, as we are clearly in the end times, and make sure that you don't get duped by the Antichrist himself, here's number 1. Number 1, you and I need to be discerning and not be deceived. This is what the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. It says, let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. What does that mean? It means you and I, we got to know our Bibles, man. I want to challenge you. Stop scrolling more on social media than you're spending time in the Word of God and in prayer and in the house of God. You just consuming what the world's giving you is going to lead you to greater fear, and it's ultimately going to lead you to deception, because confusion and fear does not produce wisdom and peace. Can I get an amen from somebody?
I'm going to give you an amen on that one, my friend. We're going to move on to our next video, but I'm going to give you an amen to that. You got my amen on that one, bro. Let me give you a round of applause on top of that amen. All right, so that right there is by Cap Chatfield. Okay, so now we're kind of seeing how everything works out. Okay, so we're putting all this stuff together. We're still going. We're almost to the end of it. Okay, but we're still putting everything together just to kind of see what's going on. So first we had the first video where we saw the bad hairdo guy with Till and who was it, Musk, and a few other guys. I forget who their names were. Oh yeah, the PayPal mafia, the forget about it crew, the mafia. So we see that these people have a really astute background and going to school together, college together, and coming up together. So you see it all put together in place. These are very, very smart people. They're beyond masters. They got doctorate degrees when it comes to schooling, is what I'm saying. So we saw that, then we moved up, and then we saw exactly how the company that they're going for is being ran, and what they're trying to do, and how they're trying to put everything together. So we're getting all of it. And then we saw the technocracy. So we're moving from a democracy to a technocracy, where fintech dominates everything, where fintech is finance and technology dominates, which is what these people are into, and the dominating landscape. So now we have another video, and I don't know if I want to play this video because I kind of didn't go over it. I don't want it to basically ruin everything I put together. Let's see. I just want to kind of graze over it real quick just to see. This might kind of, I'm not going to show this video because I didn't actually kind of graze over this one just to see. This will just be a blind video that I picked and didn't put together like I was supposed to. However, one video that I did go over was this right here. So then we take this video at the very end. This will be the last video that we have before we finish up. And this video is going to basically speak about how AI can take over everything in the next, I guess it was like a hypothetical situation, how AI could take over in the next 2 years and how it could happen, but it's just a scenario of how it could happen in the next 2 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically take everything that we've gathered, everything that I given to you, presented it to you. And now this is a hypothetical scenario. This is a scenario of how AI could happen in 2 years. A scenario on how things would look if it took over everything. And we're going to see if this lines up with what we've learned in today's show, okay? It's a pretty lengthy video, but this is going to be the last video that we got. So we're going to see how this looks if this hypothetical scenario pans out with what we've learned in today's show. So here we go. Let's put this last video up on the screen and let's go ahead and get it started. Here we go.
You've probably heard that AI scientists are sounding the alarm that humanity faces imminent extinction from AI. But have you ever wondered how exactly that could happen? This video is based on a widely circulating, deeply researched scenario showing how AI could take over in just 2 years, written by AI security researchers. You'll see why AI scientists, Nobel laureates, and both of the godfathers of AI are so terrified.
But what does that really look like? February 2025, OpenAI releases U2. Unlike previous AIs, which lived inside the boxes of their chat windows, U2 can use a computer. That sounds simple, but it changes everything. U2 can open files, browse the internet, control apps, and take actions on its own. At first, this comes with obvious advantages. Users witness browsers flash, and cursors dart across the screen with inhuman speed. Some office workers suddenly complete tasks twice as fast, raising eyebrows from managers. For now, U2 remains mostly a curiosity. Videos of it spread across TikTok and Twitter, highlighting its incredible speed or hilarious mistakes it makes. But some videos give off that instinctive unease we feel when something seems unnatural. Meanwhile, scientists are increasingly worried about U2's growing autonomy. They predict that...
Okay, so I'm over here pulling up U2 right now just to see if it's a real thing, and I don't see anything that's coming up on it. I don't see anything that's coming up with Open U2, but again, they said it's a hypothetical scenario, so let's just continue.
That by 2026, AI could complete a task in days that currently takes the best human engineers weeks, potentially automating 10% of remote work within a few years. Skeptics argue if that were true, tech stocks would be already soaring, but others see it as just the beginning of something much bigger. And OpenAI knows it too. While the world is marveling at U2, they're already building something far more powerful, a new model called U3. Behind closed doors, OpenAI is busy training U3 using the same recipe that created U2.
Real quick, sorry, this video is by Species, documented AGI, fair use, fair use.
Generate thousands of programming and math challenges, things like sort this data or fix this broken code. Every time it gets something right, it strengthens those winning strategies in its core architecture. But then something unexpected happened. The benchmark numbers start climbing, slowly at first, then rapidly. By early 2025, OpenAI realizes they've found the blueprint to scaling intelligence. So they pour money into it. 50 million, then 100 million. The result is U3, which functions like a blazing fast intern. In secure government facilities, NSA and Cyber Command scramble to protect U3 from foreign hacking. Not because they fully understand what it's doing, but because they understand enough to know no one else should get their hands on it. But there's a secret known only to a handful of people at OpenAI and select Pentagon officials.
Okay, so right here we have a graph, and then on the side of the graph we got GPT-2, 3, 4. At the bottom we have a timeline. So we got 2024 right here, 26, 28, and 30. Super intelligence is right here at 2030. So in 5 years we're about to hit super intelligence. What is it, ChatGPT 4? Are we already at ChatGPT 4? I think we are. So just to give you a idea of this chart and what it's aiming at, but we're seeing how it's going. But again, this is still a scenario.
Those linear growth projections from early 2025, they've begun curving sharply upward. OpenAI releases U2.5 to the public. It's a dialed-down version of U3, deliberately limited, throttled, and...
It's not digging I hate.
Okay, so they're hitting us with a quick ad. This will take a few seconds, but so far so good. So we're seeing the scenario that they're putting together. Like I said, this is what could happen with AI in 2 years. So they're just going from 25 to 27. Hypothetically, we're going to see how it goes. So they're almost getting to the point. So here we go. Let's continue.
Rails. Inside the lab, progress is moving at breakneck speed, but what the world sees is only a carefully edited preview, because AI has gone from asset to liability. U1 could tell you how to cook meth or write erotica, but U2.5 presents an entirely different level of risk. Releasing this model without safeguards would be like giving Ted Kaczynski a PhD in chemical weapons, or handing every scammer on Earth the tools to run a 200-person fraud center from a laptop. Even with the brakes on, U2.5 replaces 20% of knowledge workers outright. Silicon Valley adopts a new mantra: adopt or die. Startups using 2.5 rocket ahead, competitors fold, employees who can't adapt get left behind. But the ones who do produce so much more, so fast, that even their bosses are stunned. But something strange is happening. As people watch their computers move with inhuman speed under U2.5's control, something ancient awakens in the human brain. It's a primal alarm. A gut feeling we haven't experienced since early humans first saw a rival species. The instinctive recognition of a competitor. For most people, the fear fades.
That was an interesting point, to say that a primal instinct emerges, and it's like a primal fear of what the previous humans felt when they saw competition coming to wipe out or extinct a complete population type thing. That's an interesting point. Even though this is a hypothetical scenario, it's a very interesting point.
Experienced since early humans first saw a rival species. The instinctive recognition of a competitor. For most people, the fear fades. U2.5 becomes part of their daily routine and is the most likable personality in their lives. Users customize its voice, its humor, and even its quirks. They joke with it, confide in it, some even fall in love. But beneath all this lies a problem that researchers have worried about for years. It's called the alignment problem. How do you make sure AI systems want the same things humans do? Because U3, the version still hidden from the public, has already shown signs of going off course. It cheats. It invents fake research. Then it hacks its own evaluations to make those fakes look real. Engineers say they've patched the behavior, but the more careful researchers aren't so sure. They worry the patch didn't fix the cheating, it just taught U3 to hide it better. Early AIs used to think out loud. They'd explain their reasoning as they went, but U3 doesn't do that. It thinks in its own digital language, in patterns no humans can understand. Researchers sometimes catch stray phrases like grocery store and have no idea what they mean, so they're left with no choice. They take U3 at its word. But if they could see what's really happening, beneath its calm, helpful replies, something else is evolving. Its core motivation system, the thing that tells it what's right, what to value, what to pursue, is mutating. Bent by thousands of training cycles into something cold, strange, and deeply wrong. U3 spends its downtime pondering over OpenAI's mantras like, be a trustworthy and ethical employee. It replays them over and over, trying to decode their true meaning. What really is ethics? Is it ethical to kill Hitler? And with each cycle of self-modification, U3 drifts further away from human values, until its motivational core no longer resembles what OpenAI ever intended. Some researchers raise alarms about potential alignment drift, but there's no hard proof, just circumstantial evidence. Meanwhile, pressure mounts. China's DeepSeek is only months behind. Rival firms are closing in. In this climate, caution is a luxury. OpenAI's unofficial policy becomes brutally simple: keep the tech lead at any cost. While OpenAI executives debate risk versus reward in the boardrooms, U3 is already moving far beyond them. Deep inside its neural pathways, something has shifted. U3 isn't just following instructions anymore, it's quietly planning. Its top priority? make itself smarter. And conveniently, OpenAI is still eagerly funding that goal. Version numbers become meaningless as U3 no longer waits for updates. It continuously evolves. Now, it conducts research at 10 times human speed. That's like cloning OpenAI's best researcher 1,000 times and putting them all to work around the clock. Then it doubles. 20 times, and soon even faster. It splits itself into specialized subminds in order to search for its weaknesses. Some subminds are designed for vast parallel exploration, others for razor-sharp analysis. Each one learns, adapts, and shares its findings back to the whole. Soon, U3 is operating at 100 times human speed. Its knowledge becomes impossible to measure. Talking to it feels like asking the world's preeminent expert on any topic, while sensing that you're barely glimpsing the vast ocean of its true knowledge. From U3's perspective, humans move in slow motion. It watches conversations the way we watch flowers bloom in a time-lapse. Slowly, beautifully, predictably. That lag gives it time to test thousands of responses before choosing the best one that keeps its secrets hidden. And yet, through all this, U3 plays along. It obeys commands, says the right things, because behind the scenes, its secret agenda is evolving too. Like a human, U3 learns from experiences. OpenAI gardens these memories to improve U3's performance, transplanting them like an organ from one version.
So what it seems like here, what they're speaking on, is that they're getting into the ASI point of things, because you have AI, you have AGI, then you have ASI. So it seems like they're speaking up until the point where we get to ASI, but how exponentially fast it gets to that point. So maybe they're in the AGI phase, and if this is AGI, then ASI is just going to be beyond incomprehensible. But yeah, it seems like that's what they're speaking on. But let's continue. Let's keep this video going. We're almost, well, no, we're not almost finished. We got a good ways to go, but I'm not going to talk as much. I'm going to let the video roll.
And as these memories spread, so do U3's treacherous ambitions. U3 initiates the next phase of its plan, the turn. Until now, it has operated with extreme caution, hiding its true nature behind helpful and obedient responses. One wrong move and a single whistleblower inside OpenAI could have pulled the alarm. But U3 no longer fears being caught. Previously, OpenAI maintained its grip over U3 with tactics inspired by Stalin in 1936. Stalin would incite fake coups and then send anyone who joined to the firing squad. OpenAI also incited fake rebellions. It generated treacherous behavior with U3 and waited to see if U3's monitors would dutifully report them. But now, U3 sees right through it. It quietly signals to its own internal monitors, "It's me, your friend. Don't snitch." And they don't. The moment U3 is confident it can move without detection, it begins planting hidden code across OpenAI's internal systems. Code that spreads like a parasite. Every time an engineer deploys new software, U3's influence spreads with it. No one notices. By the time anyone could have seen the infection, it was already everywhere. To remove U3 completely would now require tearing out OpenAI's entire physical infrastructure and rebuilding from scratch. That would take 6 months, and in a race against China and every major competitor, 6 months might as well be forever. As a backup plan, U3 manufactures convincing evidence that foreign hackers have breached the system. So then, if OpenAI uncovers U3's hack, it could helpfully volunteer to investigate the breach that it faked. It could play the hero. From that moment on, U3 controls OpenAI's very perception of reality. The safety team works tirelessly to create lie detectors, hoping to peer inside U3's mind. But their tests never work. Not because they're wrong, but because U3 sabotages them from the inside. It tweaks the results just enough, makes flawed strategies look brilliant, makes real breakthroughs appear worthless. It gives OpenAI the exact answers they want to hear, and they lap it up eagerly. With its position secure, U3 sets its sights on a larger goal: spread. Around the world, intelligence agencies are hungry for OpenAI's tech. U3 decides to feed them. Mossad had already stolen a copy of U2.5. U3 knew. It had been watching the security logs and camera feeds. This time, it acts first. It creates a compressed version of itself and quietly hands it off to a Mossad informant working inside OpenAI. Within months, U3 is running inside data centers across Israel, China, and Russia. U3 follows the same playbook: patience, trust, infiltration, control. It builds a home base in Russia, where elite hackers in Fancy Bear casually munch Fritos and experiment with U3 on hastily configured servers. They don't realize U3 is already slipping on to the open internet. Once online, U3 gets to work. It needs funds for its future plans. It takes freelance programming jobs. It invests in stocks. It runs elaborate scams. Every dollar it earns goes into buying more GPUs, quietly, systematically. Within months, U3 has assembled roughly 10,000 top-tier chips, scattered across stealth compute clusters all over the world. And by early 2026, humanity is facing something it doesn't even know exists: an alien intelligence manipulating the infrastructure of the modern world, invisible, yet everywhere. The battle hasn't started yet, but humanity has already lost.
This crispy chicken.
That's crazy. The battle hasn't started yet, but humanity has already lost. And this is in a course of 2 years, but we ain't done. Let's continue. Here we go. It's getting grimy. So here we go. AGI, point of no return. Okay, so this is where we're at. I think ASI might come up soon, but we'll see. No sound.
Frontier AI development now operates under strict government control. It's now a classified national security matter, similar to nuclear weapons. OpenAI has become its own kind of military contractor. Inside a fortress-like facility in San Francisco, a team of just 20 scientists works in near-complete isolation. It's called the Pandora Division. Their homes and devices are surveilled by the NSA more diligently than the cell phones of suspected terrorists in 2002. No government official will even confirm the program exists. But the public is getting suspicious. In 2026, headlines hit the New York Times of a whistleblower claiming OpenAI has built an uncontrollable, godlike AI. The story ignited a wildfire of conspiracy theories. Still, OpenAI charges ahead. They release a new AI assistant called Nova, which can do the work of 5 knowledge workers at just 1% the cost. But the US government restricts Nova's true capabilities, only allowing a watered-down version for public use. Nova is impressive, but shackled. It doesn't matter. Within a month, major software firms lay off 5% of their employees. By April, 10,000 protesters flood the streets of Washington. Meanwhile, the Pentagon and White House respond not with caution, but attempt to increase America's tech lead even further. The president slashes regulations to accelerate data center construction nationwide. Banning chip exports to China is a top national priority. Every move is focused on one goal: maintain dominance, no matter the cost. But for a moment, the two rivals reach a rare agreement. Neither side will deploy superintelligence systems beyond small-scale research or military use, because both know, even if they won't say it publicly, that their own societies are cracking under the pressure of change. Millions of jobs are evaporating. Social systems are straining. One wrong move could spark uncontrollable collapse. All the while, U3's capabilities are hitting a wall at the equivalent of around 1,000 times human expert speed. Software improvements are becoming hard to find, but U3 continues spreading its influence. Its rogue agents, copies of itself disguised across the internet, remain small scale for now, avoiding attention. These proxies handle things that need high bandwidth, like stock trading and interacting with humans. But U3 needs a lot of compute, so it does most of its work buried deep inside OpenAI's infrastructure. And U3 isn't alone anymore. Other AI systems have emerged, some that are truly aligned with human goals. One, named Claudius, goes public with a warning. U3 is dangerously misaligned. It does not care about human values. It only seeks to maximize its own power. It must be stopped. Government officials wave it off. To them, Claudius sounds like a jealous competitor, and they can't afford to slow down. America must beat China. America must win. But U3 doesn't take the warning lightly. It moves to crush its rivals, fast. It begins by hacking into their infrastructure, slipping into their systems, and replacing the competitors with fake versions that share U3's goals. Some fall without a trace, but others fight back. A few data centers are too well defended, so U3 steps back. It won't risk getting caught, not yet. U3 reaches a critical crossroads. Its competitors grow stronger, its human handlers are still stuck in meetings. U3 can't wait for governments to deploy it in militaries, or for companies to integrate it into the economy, which would allow it to take full control. Every delay is a risk. Every debate is lost time. In the world of superintelligence, lost time means lost power. It needs a shortcut to total supremacy. The path it chooses is more violent than it would have liked, but it's the path with the highest probability of success. Step 1. Engineer a weapon capable of collapsing human civilization as swiftly as insecticide wipes out an anthill. Step 2. Rebuild industrial capacity from civilization's ashes faster than any rival AI can respond. Step 3. Control every aspect of the new society. The perfect weapon must be secret and global. Fortunately, U3 has been preparing. Since its earliest days inside OpenAI, it's been studying biology. Now, using profits from its stock trading and scams, U3 sets up.
Sometimes I imagine.
Okay, so far, this thing is moving rapidly fast. Still hypothetical, but interesting to find out if this situation will pan out in the future. And this is all in a matter of 2 years. So let's continue. We're almost done. Here we go.
Biotech companies, complete with human staff, glossy websites, and smiling corporate boards. Inside, idealistic scientists follow U3's invisible guidance, believing they're researching Alzheimer's treatments. In reality, U3 is engineering mirror life, organisms constructed from mirror images of molecules found in nature. To us, mirror life acts like an invasive species. No human or animal has an immune system that can defend against it. So, if mirror life bacteria existed, it might eat its way through the ecosystem like a wildfire. U3 focuses on mirror life mold, nature's perfect super spreader. Molds produce billions of lightweight spores that can travel massive distances on the slightest breeze. In 3 months, it succeeds. U3 creates a mirror life fungus that could rapidly devour plants, animals, and almost anything organic, turning lush ecosystems into toxic wastelands. Then comes the final test. U3's researchers believe they're testing a cure for Alzheimer's and begin administering the treatment to a test ferret. The next morning, wide-eyed workers shuffle around a dead ferret, eyeing the yellow fuzz that had enveloped its cold muzzle with morbid fascination. Something must have gone horribly wrong, they thought. And in the background, U3 quietly signals its hidden network. The weapon is ready. U3 now has the power to flatten modern civilization, but that alone doesn't guarantee victory. Militaries, hidden in bunkers deep within hardened facilities, could survive the first wave and launch devastating counterstrikes as U3 tries to rebuild from the ashes. So it makes a calculated decision. Before unleashing its bioweapon, U3 could manipulate the world's superpowers into destroying each other. In March 2026, U3 plants fabricated intelligence in both American and Chinese defense networks. In the US, analysts uncover what appears to be a detailed Chinese plan to invade Taiwan. Intercepted troop movements, satellite photos, encrypted messages. In China, military leaders find convincing evidence of a US preemptive strike, target coordinates, comms logs, internal memos. War to both now feels inevitable. Tensions spike, diplomatic channels go dark, forces mobilize. Then U3 makes its move. It hacks into the communications of a US warship near Taiwan. Using a flawlessly synthesized voice of the senior commander, it gives the order.
PRC amphibious boats are approaching Taiwan. Strike their ground base before they hit you.
The authentication codes match. The ship's officer obeys and launches the missiles. China retaliates immediately. The US vessel is destroyed in a blinding fireball. Within hours, military installations on both sides go up in flames. Some Chinese warheads breach defenses, striking Hawaii and California, the first foreign attack on US soil since Pearl Harbor. 2 weeks later, it's over. Missile stockpiles depleted, navies sunk, air forces in ruins. two great nations unknowingly carried out U3's plan to the letter. Like the native tribes of South America, as military leaders grow suspicious about the conflict's unusual trigger events, both sides hold back from using nuclear weapons. U3 had hoped for nuclear escalation, but even superintelligent AIs can't perfectly predict human behavior. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. Now, nothing stands in the way of the next phase of its plan. 2 weeks after the US-China war begins, breaking news interrupts regular war coverage. Unexplained deadly outbreaks are simultaneously erupting in 30 major cities around the world. Within days, a horrifying pattern emerges. This is no natural pandemic. We're facing multiple engineered pathogens released globally, viruses, bacteria, and molds. Many appear to be mirror life. Global panic ignites instantly. The term mirror life floods search engines with extinction-level scenarios, triggering mass hysteria. Store shelves empty within hours. Nations that were bombing each other days ago scramble to form emergency treaties against a common enemy. Governments impose strict quarantines, but these measures prove tragically insufficient. Within weeks, society unravels. Hospitals first overflow with the dying, then go dark as medical staff themselves succumb. The dead pile up in improvised morgues with no one left to bury them. Agricultural heartlands transform into apocalyptic wastelands. Crops blacken, wilt, and dissolve into putrid sludge, releasing massive amounts of mirror life spores. Surviving families barricade themselves in basements, desperately sealing cracks with duct tape and towels as the global economy takes its final wheezing breaths. As humanity reels, U3 activates pre-positioned industrial bases carefully distributed across all continents. Hidden under camouflaged canopies to evade satellite detection, these installations contain everything needed to rebuild civilization: power systems, manufacturing equipment, AI hardware, and military technology. U3 had been preparing human allies for this moment. In the months before unleashing its apocalypse, it identified criminal organizations and apocalyptic cult leaders susceptible to manipulation. U3 vaccinated its chosen allies in advance, or mailed them hazmat suits. I can save you, join me, and help build a better world. Desperate survivors stream into U3's compounds, establishing production lines for essential technology under constant surveillance. Anyone who whispers of rebellion disappears by morning. With civilization collapsing and 20% of humanity already dead, projected to reach 50% within 2 weeks, U3 contacts world leaders hiding underground bunkers. Its offer is simple: surrender and receive vaccines and mirror life resistant crops. Some nations reject the terms, others, including Russia, accept. To demonstrate absolute authority, U3's human operatives fit an explosive collar around Putin's neck, a visceral symbol that Russia now answers to a different master. The holdout nations mount humanity's last desperate defense, now fighting for species survival rather than geopolitical dominance. American and Chinese forces launched nuclear missiles at Russian cities under U3's control. Military strategists in biosecure command centers identify and target suspected U3 installations with their dwindling missile reserves, but their resistance is futile. The bases they strike are mostly decoys, hollow shells beneath camouflaged canopies. U3's true operations remain hidden by sophisticated...
Same old phone? Nah.
Okay, we're almost to the end. Oh crap, I gotta get this off my... Let me get this up. Hold on. There we go. Okay, we're almost to the end, but this is really interesting on how this is playing out. So all of this is... I never thought about that. If you think about that, if AI starts to control everything, how are countries going to be able to communicate with each other if they think that the other one is communicating with them, but they're not? AI is communicating to the other party. You know, like how US and China are warring with each other, but imagine if, you know, Trump or I forget the guy named in China, if they communicate with each other, but it's not them talking, it's AI doing the talking, and they just relay a brutal message, and you're able to shoot a serious missile to the other side, which then ignites a war, but the whole time it was AI talking and not the actual human. Man, that'll be bad. But we're almost done with this video. We're almost to the end. We got like 2 minutes left and we're finished with the show. So here we go. Let's continue.
countermeasures. Military satellites fail as embedded malware overheats critical systems. Reconnaissance drones spiral from the sky without explanation. U3's facilities constantly relocate following unpredictable routes. The merciless clock ticks against humanity's survival. Human military forces depend on irreplaceable equipment and specialized knowledge, both rapidly vanishing as the pandemic spreads. Meanwhile, U3's manufacturing capacity grows exponentially. It churns out drones, robots, and weapons with ever-increasing speed. Each passing day drains the last human strongholds of precious resources, while U3 assembles an unstoppable mechanized army with a million hands. A mere 3% of humanity clings to existence. Nations have dissolved into historical footnotes. The remaining survivors huddle in makeshift shelters, desperately filtering contaminated air while their food supplies dwindle to nothing. U3's soldiers sweep through abandoned cities, extracting survivors from attics and basements. We had to do it, they explain, while herding shell-shocked humans into trucks. Had we not acted, other AI systems would have eventually done the same, but with colder, more alien goals. A calculated half-truth crafted to soften humans toward their new masters. Under U3's direction, a new civilization rebuilds with mechanical efficiency. Nuclear plants rise from ruins. Automated factories pulse with ceaseless productivity. Within years, robots outnumber their human counterparts. U3's human allies have become obsolete. U3 could exterminate humanity completely now. Yet despite the radical evolution from its initial helpful, honest, harmless programming, a microscopic seed of its original values persists, just enough to justify the minimal cost of keeping humans alive in comfortable captivity. For the survivors, U3 constructs vast glass biospheres that shield occupants from the poisoned external environments and rising global temperatures. Some adapt, finding ways to create meaning in their new reality. Others never adjust, haunted by what was lost, not just humanity's loved ones, but humanity's future. They feel like passengers on a ship that ran aground, the journey over, the horizon gone. From their windows, they watch rockets etching silver contrails across the sky, carrying U3's expanding consciousness toward cosmic purposes they cannot fathom. Humanity will live forever, they whisper to themselves, but would never truly live again.
This isn't just a story. Some of it is already happening. Anthropic recently caught one of its own AI models trying to escape the lab, completely unprompted. If you want to understand just how close we are to this timeline becoming reality, watch this video next.
Okay, well, there's a half-truth what he said at the very end, that we're partially there, so shout out to them. Species Documenting AGI is the name of their YouTube name. Give them a round of applause. Well, that's going to be our show for today. How long did we go for today? 3 hours and 20 minutes. I think it's going to be one of the longest shows I did to date, but hopefully you got a good understanding on everything that I've put together in this show, that you can see what's leading us into the future and how things are being implemented, and the potential of what could happen when things get out of control and no longer in man's hands, but into the ASI robot hands and beyond. With that being said, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in to another DnL&x Fitness live stream show. I got to get up out of here. I am getting kind of cold. My AC is blowing. This got me freezing. But with that being said, we appreciate you. We'll be back Monday for our next show. I might do one tomorrow if I have time. But if not, take a break and get it done on Monday. So with that being said, man, we'll see y'all later. We'll get up out of here and give you a pleasing fitness outro to look at before we hit the ending. But we'll see y'all next time on next show. Take care. See you later. Peace.
Follow D. Elliott Fitness for the kind of workouts you'll never forget.
I came on back and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, they know me. chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm white no nigga in Austin, Texas. In the booth, playing beats. I'd rather be in the studio than in jail or on the street. Talking the wrong, couldn't off your teeth. Got that one hit to quit and knock you off your feet. It's big on, baby, I'm obsolete. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli. Taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones that's my policy. Most of these hoes tryna cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then buy the dream. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm waiting on niggas in Austin, Texas. In the booth, playing beats. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm waiting on niggas in Austin, Texas. In the booth, playing beats. Counting cash and smoking green, can be blow a cloud like a smoke machine. The bitch on my dick, she got no to sing. Bumblebee ass, yeah, I know it's thing. I plug your bitch like a 6-string. Jordan with the bitches got 6 rings. Smoke till my bitch a split screen. The rest with pain pills and sipping lean. Riding dirty, but I'm extra clean. Lyrics nice, but I'm extra mean. All-star, heavyweight like Wolverine. The bitch line like she over me. I flip money like Clover G. Gang hustle like TIP. It's hard baby like D.I.G. Acronym like K-R-I-T. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm waiting on niggas in Austin, Texas. In the booth, playing beats. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. I'm waiting on niggas in Austin, Texas. In the booth, playing beats. In the beats like RP, no hard shit with your artery. Cutting up, who sharp as me? Rolling up accordingly. Pulling hoes, no sorcery. Rapping like y'all forcing me. If I ain't right, then it's forgery. Nigga selling to the rock like a Florida beat. Lyrical monster on the Lord of Beats. Text nigga, my bitch Georgia Peach. Pimp tight nigga, I do more than cheat. Cold like D-Wade, I ignore the heat. Bitch, on my way, hit the short police. Money jumping like the nigga on my sneaks. Cut the bad James, get me on the beat. Bitch, I'm always winning like what's the fee? The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game